Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
A guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin still lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. Welcome to PSGL Season 34, round number 5 for the PC F1 platform. My name is Chris Buxton, standing in for the mighty George Morgan as he's decided to hightail it to France for some real-life commentary gig of some description instead of being here. I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know, but it gives me the opportunity to occupy this seat, and I'm very, very happy to be here alongside the mighty, the wonderful, the gorgeous ginger man himself, Jack and Ann.
Hello, Chris. Good to have you. It's been a little while since we were together last. I think I've got to cast my mind back. Saudi Arabia for the previous season, I think, was the last time we were alongside each other. But
the one that I started with the wrong track map. Yes, that'll be the one.
That one. Yeah. But yes, we are here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. My voice decided to give up for some reason. But we are at the Hungaroring. Now, some of you may be wondering, where is Las Vegas? Why are we not at Las Vegas? Here's the short answer. The drivers complained enough, so now we're in Hungary. The long answer is that, according to the drivers who obviously are all esports professionals, the curbs in Las Vegas are absolutely horrendous. According to them, randomly, it's all RNG. For a quali lap around there, apparently. So they all got together. They're like, we're not racing Vegas. Let's go to another track. So we're going to the Hungaroring. So here we are. We've only been here on two previous occasions, actually. You'd be surprised. We've had so many seasons of PSGL, but only here twice before, season 27 and season 30. Both of those pole positions have gone to Barry Boromant, and 2 wins have gone to Barry Boromant and Jarno Opmeer. So we've only had 2 previous winners here and 2 previous champions, of course. But complete unknown. We haven't been here in a little while, but very excited.
Yeah, absolutely so. Barry Boromant being the current championship leader as well, that does put a bit more onus on him to do well once again. But we will see if that is going to be the case. Now, we start with 18 drivers for the first part of qualifying, or for our entirety of qualifying. We will have to do a lobby restart later on anyway, but we are heading to trackside, or we will be when the lobby decides to load. Now, I will add, ladies and gentlemen, this is my very first stream, not only on this game, but also in my new home. So any technical troubles are 100% on me, and I'll take that. So no one has left the pit lane just yet. That looks very cloudy, Mr. Canan.
Certainly does. Now, we've had rain-interrupted qualifyings for the past 2 weeks. Q1 has started off wet, or started off dry and transitioned into wet. So at least for this time, we may get a quote-unquote normal Q1 session. And now, to explain, like Chris said, we only have 18 drivers in Q1. It's both of the McLarens. Where are they, do you ask? Well, according to what we've heard, the 2 of them are at the McLaren Technology Centre at the moment. And the long and short of it is, they're late back to the McLaren Technology Centre because they were out doing laps of Silverstone. So they're going to be late. They are going to join us later in the race. But Wilson Hughes and Lucas Blakely are late back to the McLaren Technology Centre. If that's not the coolest excuse, I don't know what is. But they will be joining us later as well. Of course, Jarno also off this week as well, if those of you are wondering. You'll probably get told in the chat a million times that he's not here. So you can ask it once and then leave it. But we've a championship fight in our hands, of course. The first 2 rounds of this championship were voided, of course, because of the tyre wear glitch. We did 1 round of the F1 World Cars, and then, of course, we went into our first quote-unquote proper round last week with an incredible race at Brazil. If you did miss it, do go check it out. The final lap fight between none other than Barry Borman and Jarno Watmere with a tenth of a second separating them across the line. Barry Borman taking his first victory of the season. And what's going to be interesting here, Chris, of course, we haven't had any new winners in the Hungaroring, but we're going for our 5th different winner in 5 rounds this week.
Oh, more of that, please, as far as I'm concerned. Now, no, not taking away from any one driver that dominates a season, but it's always more fun, as far as I'm concerned, when you don't have the expected winner, when you have got that element of who does well on the day. So who are our 18 drivers? There's a few reserves in the field. Let us see who we've got. We've got starting his first flying lap on the intermediates, as is, I wouldn't say standard, but is expected almost in the F1 tier, is Andre Tarabukin in the Aston Martin. Joining him is a long-time F1 Esports veteran Fabrizio Donoso, just starting his first flying lap as well. In the Red Bulls, we have got Dylan Warren, who is on his out lap, again on the intermediates. He is joined by Istvan Pukki, who has yet to leave the pit lane. Ferrari's Barry Burmant in the championship leading Ferrari. He also hasn't left the pit. Alongside him is Nicolas Longuet. In the Haas, I will keep saying Formula Danny. I know it's Danny Beresnay, but I always instinctively read what's on the what is on the tower. Danny Beresnay, the singing Hungarian, second in the championship at the moment. He is joined by young gun Alfie Butcher, AlphaTauri, Jake Benham, and Marcus Suriano. It's his first time in this season, I believe. His debut in this season for Marcus Suriano. In the Alfa Romeo, it is Thomas Ronhart and the first ever F1 Esports champion, Brendan Lee. In the Mercs, Marcel Kiefer and Otis Lawrence. And the Williams, it is Ika Bayena and Ishmael Farsi. All names we have enjoyed seeing up to now. That's first lap from Andre Tarabukin. You might be wondering why we weren't watching it. Let's be honest, it's not going to be too representative in the intermediate tyres when it is quite cold. Actually, that's a very clear sky. I thought it looked quite cloudy from the pit lane, but it is blue sky everywhere we see. Otis Lawrence has decided to have a rest and to disconnect from the session. Who haven't we mentioned? I think it's the Alpines, Piotr Stałek and Ruben Pedreño. Names we have seen throughout the tiers here in PSGL. Names that you and I, Jack and Dan, have had the great pleasure of talking about many, many times over. Who has an advantage here? Well, Hungaroring's a bit of an unusual beast. 14 turns. Only the start-finish straight is where you can really get the horses galloping. The rest is down to precision and technical setup really winning the day. So who's your money on? Are you going to come off the fence yet, or shall we wait till later?
It's well, I mean, going off previous forum books, I'm going Barry Borman for pole straight away because he's had every pole position so far since we've been here in this. But again, I've been surprised before. We had a great fight for pole last week between Barry Borman and Fabrizio Donoso. I think the gap in the end was 0.07 of a second between Donoso and that of Barry Borman, and it wasn't the only tier that had a run to the line. We had it in F2 as well, and we had it in WOR as well. So every single Brazil round has had a run to the line. But I believe in WOR, from what I heard as well, it was Lucas Blakely versus Fabrizio Donoso for the run to the line. And again, it's what that track honestly always delivers. But it was consistently Donoso. He's found his form again. He's consistently up at the top, but he hasn't quite had completely the luck go his way, or in the past couple of rounds. He qualified front row in Kota, was basically hit off in the first corner. Qualified in the front row in Brazil, was right up at the front towards the end, but then just got shuffled back a bit afterwards and finished, I think it was P5 in the end after all that. But it is something I have noticed in this new game cycle. We're used to seeing guys out on the inters, but I'm seeing less and less of it now. It's sort of just some guys decide to do it, but you see only 3 drivers actually set a time on the intermediate tyres to obviously save a set of dry tyres, but a lot of them feeling they don't need to do it, which is interesting in this part. And again, we've got lots of tyre strategy, which is coming into this game as well. It was something we were missing in the last game cycle. Was everyone chose the same compound of tyre in the race, which made for 0 strategy options. Every single race so far, we've had 3 strategies in the top 3, which is really, really exciting. We've had 2 drivers win from 17th in a row, 2 races in a row. Otis Lawrence come from the back in Kota, but then lost it in the stewards room, which gave Shannon Clay his second ever PC F1 victory. And then we had Jake Benham do it at Zandvoort from 17th on the grid and came through to take also his second victory from the back as well. But again, last week it was Barry Bormand who took the honours, and we're looking forward to seeing how they get on. But it's been Lucas Blakely took the opening round as well. So again, 4 different winners so far. We're trying to get ourselves 5 different winners. I don't think that's been done before in this tier. I think we've definitely had 4 before, but we've never had 5 different winners in a season. So we're looking forward to that as well. But very quiet out on the track, and it's normally around the 10-minute mark when it starts to get busy out on the circuit, and we'll see how it gets on. But as you mentioned, lots of guys making their debuts this season. Mirko Suriano being one of them, joining the grid for this race. Ishmael Fassi as well, back in Williams. Iker Bena as well. Good to have him back on the grid for Williams as well, filling in this week in the Williams camp. And Otis Lawrence is filling in at Mercedes. And in a way, obviously PSGL is all about finding new talent. I think that's a bit of foreshadowing, I'll be honest. I can see Otis Lawrence in a Mercedes F1 Esports seat in the future.
Oh, bold statement there from the Canan. Well,
it suits him, I think.
I mean, you could argue that every one of these drivers, every driver that has the ability to take part in PCF1, the standard has always been, it sounds like an obvious statement, it's always been very high. Yes, it's the top tier. But look at these names and look at their pedigrees. Look at what they have achieved everywhere across league racing and F1 esports spectrum. It's not just, oh, they made it to the top, therefore they're good. They're consistently good. They stay at the top for a long time. How long have we seen so many of these names in F1 or even F2? I mean, the likes of, like I say, Fassi, Baena, Ronha, recent departures from F2, and they're still holding their own against the top names. Speaking of Mirko Suriano, there he is. He's broken cover. He is on the soft tyres. I wasn't going to bring up that on the graphic, but there he is in the AlphaTauri, flirting with the slow out lap again. You don't want to be getting a penalty for that. Now, one, I've just spotted that my name keeps appearing in the bottom left of the screen, which I'm sure I muted that microphone, but apologies to the drivers if I didn't. I'm not. My Discord
I really hope the drivers were listening to that the whole way through.
Well, I mean, it'll be strange for them because they can't hear you. So either way, my Discord is not going absolutely mad telling me to turn it off, and I'm assuming that you haven't been told for me to pass it on. As now most of the drivers are breaking cover and coming out on field. I'll tell you one name that I am going to keep an eye. You put early money on Borroman. I'm going to go Alfie Butcher because the amount of times he has impressed me leading up to this point, I've lost count. I'm going to put early money on Alfie Butcher, which means expect him to be off and into the wall at the end of turn 1 on the end of lap 1, and I will take the commentator's curse count for that one. But that's where my vote's going to go. The Haas of young Alfie. But there is a name that I always have a little bit of a soft spot for, and that is Beresnay. He's someone I've commentated on for a very long time, similar to actually to Brendan Lee, because I was talking about him in his ascendancy through league racing as well. I was very glad to see when he took the championship on his first and second goes at the title. But it was always great chatting to Danny Beresnay whenever he did well in his early league racing expos. Wow, was Suriano's going for a very exploratory lap. Exploratory line, I should say, through that final corner. Right on board with Suriano then. Down into turn 1. Heavy on the brakes, let the car wander over to the left-hand side. DRS open and heading downhill for turn 2. Turn 1A apparently is that little kink that nobody pays any attention to on the run down the hill. Switch over to the left as much as you dare. Turn 3, flat out down the hill now to start to rise again. Turn 4, just a slight down change as the tail lets go as he catches it, but he does manage to keep the car pointing in the right direction. Well, following through the lap, this lap isn't going to count an awful lot, unfortunately. 5, 6, 7. Now riding the rumble strip for 8. Kiss the apex. Maintain as momentum as you can. Turn 9. Again, the car looks very, very loose under Mirko Suriano. Now turn 9. I beg your pardon, number turn 11 now, down to 12. One of the few straights there are in this circuit. quick blast down to 12. Oh, 12A, then 13. Is he going to come into the pits on this occasion? No, he's going to finish the lap. So turn 14. Looks like I'll wander a little bit off the apex, floors it. Beresnay gets the first soft time on the board, 1:14.8. And that is 1:15.6 for Seriano, a 14.8 for Longuet, just a couple of hundreds off the back of Formula Danny.
Yeah, Marcel Kiefer pops into third, 15.0 for him on his first run. Stakelek comes across the line, 15.2 for his first run. Andre Tarabukin on his return goes fourth fastest. Brendan Lee, though, another 14.8, 8.37. Ishmael Fassi fancies a 14.8. Why not? Let's have four of them up at the top end for the moment. Then we have Alfie Butcher, I think, is about to cross the line. And well, so it's Ronar, 14.6. Wow. Straight away for Thomas Ronar, goes to the top of the order. Otis Lawrence goes third fastest, also on a, why not, 14.8. Barry Bormand also does a 14.8 as he crosses the start-finish line. Istvan Pukki on a 15.0. A couple more still to cross the start-finish line for their laps. Trying to see who else is as well. There's a couple of others that didn't quite get their laps together in the end. I can't tell you, Alfie Butcher invalidated his lap, but that was also a 14.8 that he invalidated. Wow. So, we have 7 drivers on a 14.8. 8 if you count Alfie Butcher and he invalidated. It was an 8.20, good enough for fourth fastest. But Thomas Ronar on his first run, a 14.624, trying to get himself back up towards the front end. The man who popped in on a 14 at the extra 14.8 that I saw was Jake Benham, who's also there on a 14.8. So that just shows you the narrow margins. But again, Ronar's opening lap good enough. But good effort, Ishmael Fassi, I have to say. A sort of under the radar name that we like to keep our eye on, but currently quicker than Barry Bormand on those opening runs. Of course, these are the first runs of Q1, and there's more chance of you getting through, of course, because we know the McLarens are going to be starting from the back of the grid. Lucas Blakely and Wilson Hughes are obviously late to qualifying, so they're going to start from the back. So there's 3 drivers that are going to be eliminated, and really it's tough to see who's actually going to be eliminated.
Yeah, absolutely true. Well, Thomas Ronhar, confident, and you can't blame him for that. 2/10 quicker than anybody else so far, has decided to park it with. He had enough time to do another run, but didn't feel the need to. And again, like so many names in this list, Thomas Ronhart is one you can't look away too much from. It makes our job as commentators, it gives us a great problem, doesn't it, of not knowing who to watch, essentially. It's all well and good just saying, oh well, we'll watch this person because we'll watch Borman because he's leading the championship and there's no point looking anywhere else. It's a great problem to have when you don't know who's going to give you the great action of any one particular session. But at the moment, it is the 3 drivers without a time on the board. Alfie Butcher, my early pick for the top spots, Igor Bayonet and Ruben Pedreño, that need to pull something out of the bag and they don't have much time left to do it.
Yeah, you got the top 4 retired. Well, Brendan Lee's also now decided to retire. So this is tricky now because all those guys are also on 14.8. Now, Longuet is known for this, retiring really early on a very, very high 14.8. So this is interesting. You've got all the guys on 14.8 thinking that they're going to be safe. But, I mean, it could be fine margins here. But Danny Beresnay has not decided to retire yet. Neither has Jake Benham. So this is going to be very tight. Ronar obviously is definitely going to be safe in the 14.6, but it's going to be nervous times, I think, for the rest of the guys. But Longuet, he's done this before, and it's backfired twice on Longuet for retiring too early. But he may as well try it. There's no point in not trying. But we'll see now if Beresnay and Benham come out, because if they see Longuet is retired, then maybe they may decide to do so as well, or they don't feel like they're going to be safe just yet. But everybody from Longuet below has decided to come out again, as far as I can see. Istvan Pukki just coming out of the pit lane now. Marcel Kiefer is also out there. Andre Tarabukin, Mirko Soriano, Donoso, currently the man who's on the cusp. Alfie Butcher in the drop zone, Igor Bayonet in the drop zone, and Ruben Pedreño as well in the drop zone. There goes Beresnay. He's decided to retire. You'd imagine Jake is going to follow suit, because I haven't seen him move out of the garage yet, but everybody from Longuet underneath has decided to go again. And, well, in fairness, it could work for Longuet because he needs everybody else behind him to improve.
Well, Alfie Butcher, is going to be the next one to set a lap time. Gets a bit of a squiggle on in the Haas coming out of turn 14. What can he do here? Doesn't have a lot of traffic ahead of him. I think there's somebody there. Really quickly on board with him. I thought it was just somebody a little bit further ahead, unless they're getting on with it as well. So he doesn't have anybody to obstruct him. So he comes down towards turn 2, hugs the apex quite nicely, and that camera cuts away. A slightly awkward time there. But as the Haas then starts to come back up the hill, this is where Mirko Soriano got a little bit wrong. Nice and settled in the Haas, coming through turn 4, 5, and 6 and 7, all in short order. Ride the curbs as well as you dare. Such a slow and awkward set of corners for these cars, but no hint of trouble there for Butcher at the moment. 8, 9, fairly slow and steady. It looks it from the off-board camera. Now Tan, he's backed out of it. He has backed out of it. Does he have enough time to get back?
I believe he does. He's about 30 seconds on the clock, so he should just about make it, Alfie Butcher. But yeah, tricky one. Everyone's on a lap now, so Jake Benham is not bothering to come out for this run. So again, Long Gaze now just needs to watch and wait and see if everybody behind him improves. He needs 8 drivers to beat him to get himself knocked out of Q1, but it's going to be, I think, tricky for the drivers behind to try and get that done. So we're waiting to see. Now, Mirko Soriano is the first man on a timed effort at the moment out there. 700ths of a second up in the first sector as he comes through into sector 2 now, in towards the chicane. Super slow section of circuit now. He's on the cusp at the moment on a 15.6. We know that the original lap was messy enough. Ruben Pedreño goes 10th fastest on a 15.0. Marcel Kiefer goes into 6th place on a 14.8. Another 14.8 to add to the list. And that's 8 drivers on the same 10th of a second. Mirko Soriano is 2.5 tenths up on his best time going through the middle sector now as we wait to see how the Italian can get on in his first season, well, his first race here for this season. Soriano now up towards the final corner, is currently in the drop zone, but is improving, so let's see what he can do. Gets on the power out of the final corner, crosses the start finish line, and does a 15.1, is safe for the moment, but there's still more cars to come now as we wait to see who will make it. Stakelek is currently on the cusp, but he's invalidated in the final corner, so Dylan Warren now is the man who can try and knock him out. In towards the final corner comes Dylan Warren as he crosses the start finish line and doesn't make it as he crosses the start finish line. Alfie Butcher, though, he might be the one to make it through. Be a shock exit for Alfie Butcher if he gets knocked out in Q1. Here he comes, crosses the line, no fear of that, goes 13th fastest and knocks out Peter Stakelek. So the shock exit, though, I have to say, Chris, is Donoso.
Yes, I was thinking exactly that. So Donoso, when he's on his prime, Donoso is incredible. But exactly as you say, Jack, he just doesn't seem to have that luck or consistency. Whatever the issue is for Donoso, it just prevents him from being able to show what he's capable of time and again. And fortunately, 120.9, that's kind of in my kind of territory for if I was to set a lap out there. I can only aspire to set in the dry what these guys set in the wet. So, yeah, I would be last and lapped quite consistently if I were to ever disgrace these guys and be on track with them. You know, the commentary seat has always been the more comfy one for me, so I make no bones about that. But I think we were just waiting for Ika Bayena to officially retire, or 50 seconds. Well, never mind, that was done for us. So 3 drivers down, and we'll see who is going to stand up to the plate. Seeing a bit more cloud cover now appearing. I thought that we had the cloud early on, but there it is. Thomas Ronha taking the early blood, you could say, by just under 2 tenths ahead of Ishmael Farsi, with Boromond, Lawrence, Lee, Pookie, Kiefer, Beresnay, Benham, and Longe all in the same tenth of a second. We lose Donoso, Warren, and Staulek from the session. Yeah, like you say, Donoso was the big surprise of that, but we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, it's a tricky one for Donoso. You know, he started on the front row last week, and now he's going to have to start from, well, not quite last, because of course the rest of the grid is going to be made up by Lucas Blakely and Wilson Hughes once they get into the new lobby later on. But they'll be starting 19th and 20th. But Donoso now starts 18th on the grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix, and not what he would have wanted going into this round, of course, off the back of such a good result last time out. But now it's sort of business as usual now. We had the 18-car Q1. First time we've had an 18-car Q1, I think, off the top of my head. We've had maybe one before back a couple of seasons, but now we have Q2 underway now, and you would sort of expect the names that you would see there, but going to be very, very close. I mean, 8 drivers we had in the same 10th, I think it was there, which is for a track. We didn't even have that at Brazil, I don't think. So whatever it is about Hungary, it's producing even closer times. But it seems like at the moment, Ronar again was up the fastest time straight away on his first run. Let's see, he's taken pole already this season in the first round of the season, off the top of my head, but didn't quite convert it in the end. So we'll see if he's going to be able to do that this time. But of course, he's got to get his way through into Q3 as well, because we've seen it was a Q1 exit for both of the Alphas last week, but no such issues this time.
No, indeed. So first man out is going to be the singing Hungarian himself, Mr. Beresnay. I do wonder if he's keen on this. The reason why I call him that is because I remember he told me this long time ago that he actually entered a major singing competition in Hungary before F1 Esports really was a thing, and it was something he was known for in his early F1 Esports days. I'd be curious to. I haven't spoken to him about that for a long time. We'll see if he's still that way inclined. But I keep pressing the wrong button. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, I'm a little rusty. But he is out in the Haas. Let's say first man in the queue. Most people have come out. Only 4 names yet to do so. Istvan Puki, Barry Burman, Marcus Soriano, and Ismail Farsi yet to rejoin the track for their first round of Q2. I'm going to hazard a guess. Yes, all soft tyres all around. And away goes Danny Beresnay, 1:14.629 from Thomas Ronhart as so much the target to beat, but certainly the marker thrown down at the end of Q1. Let's see what everybody is able to do.
Yeah, let's see how we get on. We had the marker laid down by Thomas Ronnar early on, 14.629. Those times are going to continue to get quicker and quicker. You can expect these runs to be on used soft tyres, of course, because we've had 2 weeks where we've had the rain interrupt Q1 and Q2, which meant the guys had loads of fresh softs to work with in Q2 and Q3. But you can expect these to be used tyres to save an extra set for Q3. If you can get through, of course, set a good banker on the U's, then you're at a real big advantage going into Q3. So you can expect these to be not quite up to the margin, but you'll know immediately if someone is on either used or new, because those that you'll know with the times that are set. So we'll get an indication from Danny Beresnay as he comes up to the final sector now. Chucks it into the right-hand side. Very easy to pick up an invalidation around here. I think, again, the track extension penalties are going to be a factor here this evening as he comes up towards the final corner. Tucks it in. Big confidence taken forward from the last couple of rounds. Second in the championship. Crosses the line now and does a 14.851. And that doesn't help me at all, Danny Beresnay. I can't tell if he's on the used. But if he's done that unused, that is a great banker time set down. Jake Benham, 14.9. Alfie Butcher, though, 14.727 on his first run there on those tyres. So maybe the Alfie Butcher thing mightn't be too bad a prediction from Chris Buxton there, but I'm just thinking about it, actually. The last time that we shared a commentary box in PSGL, it was actually Alfie Butcher versus Luke Smith for a victory. So you're carrying that forward from last season. But again, showing consistent improvement. Was imperious in challengers. So yeah, he's starting to find form.
Absolutely so, and it's Brendan Lee now that's... never mind, of course it's Ron Ha. The 2 alphas now at the top of the tree, so 1:14.646 for Brendan Lee, and immediately bettered by Thomas Ron Ha at 1:14.5 dead. Like you say, it doesn't really help us to figure out who's on the fresh softs and who isn't. Again, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the alphas have come out on fresh softs, which would be not so much counterintuitive, but certainly not the norm to come out on the fresh this early in Q2. Because we tend to see that happen much later in the session, usually in the what I call the Banzai phase, which is the last few minutes of any qualifying session. Most people have got a time on the board, 1:47.0. Ikabayena looks like he's following my form, but I'm sure we'll see better from the Williams driver. Mercaseriano out there at the moment. Where is he? He is coming down towards... That is turn 4 that he is now arriving at. Let's follow him through the rest of his lap to see if he's going to continue to push or whether he is just getting back to the pit in a hurry. Now coming towards 6 and 7. And the end of sector 2 is around here somewhere. He's just catching up to one of the Aston Martins. Nicely done, whoever that was. And we'll see what is his split when he hits the line. A 53.6 for sector 2 for Mercaseriano. I think he's still pushing on. We'll see if he completes this particular lap. Into turn 13. It's always a bit deceptive, that pit lane entry. I think it did catch Dylan Warren out in the first session. But across the line for Mercaseriano, and he's a 1:15.192. Only 0.6 of a second, or just shy of 0.7 of a second from first to 12th. It always amazes me, but it is the norm, isn't it? To see so many drivers so close together. Ikabayena did improve to a 1:47, and immediately back out comes Beresnay. No, not hanging around for a long time in the pits this time. So the Hungarian back out on track very quickly, along with Borman, along with Ivan Pukki as well, and Jake Benham. Very quick turnarounds in this second session.
Yeah, now I'm sort of thinking off the top of my head that some drivers again come out unused or whatever. I wonder, did Ronar and Brendan Lee, they come out immediately on the new set and then just that's their laps done? They don't need to do another run. We'll see if that works out for them. But we have Ronar on a 14.5, Lee on a 14.6. Alfie Butcher then on a 14.7 with Longe just behind him also on a 14.7. Ikerbena is also on a 14.7. Then you have Marcel Kiefer, Danny Beresnay, Jake Benham, Otis Lawrence and Andre Tarabukin who's currently on the cusp at the moment. No lap yet from Barry Borman, so we have to wait and see. Now that's definitely going to mean a restart. There's the first one, the 5 for illegal blocking. Well, we were getting one anyway, but for those of you who are unfamiliar, the game is incredibly sensitive to drivers driving slowly on an outlap, and if it senses that you're doing it in somewhat of a proximity to another car, even if the other one is driving slowly as well, it'll give you a 5-place grid penalty. So again, if anything like that happens, the drivers will get a lobby restart. But we are getting one anyway, so we can get Wilson Hughes and Lucas Blakely into the session. But we're going to see now the lap from Barry Borman, the man who has the most pole positions in PSGL, trying to keep that record alive. As Marcel gets
another
2
one.
of them. I've never seen them get 2 of them, but I think himself and Nicholas Longe are on the same bit of track, and again another penalty for Marcel Kiefer, but that's not going to stand obviously. But great stuff. Barry Borman 26.9 in the first sector, a couple of hundreds quicker than what we've seen so far through that sector, but keeping an eye now on the Iranian, part of Ferrari, championship leader, coming into this round, of course. Consistently up inside the top 2. I think he's only had 1 finish outside of the top 2 so far this season, which is a stellar record for the Iranian, but he's trying to go back-to-back wins, goes fastest in the middle sector of anybody. So let's see what this is going to be for Barry Borman. Looks really tidy from him so far. Comes into the second to last corner, gets it nicely hooked up into the final corner now. Going to spot the apex on the right hand side using the pit wall and don't drive into it like David Coulthard did. Up towards the final corner now, across the line, 14.59, a couple of hundredths behind Thomas Ronar, but slots himself between the 2 alphas, but 900ths of a second between himself and Thomas Ronar. And this was sort of a story from last season. These 2 fighting for the championship. These were the 2 fighting for pole, and slot in Danny Beresnay. Why not?
Looks like 14.5 is going to be the standard for this session. We now have 4 drivers sharing that 10th. A couple more drivers setting times then. Let's see, I think we've got, we do indeed have Isran Pukki just outside of the 14.5, so 14.608. And Ishmael Farsi, a 14.732, sees him up into 9th position at this point. Again, still 6/10 top to bottom. Now I wonder whether Jake Benham has got a time in there as well. I just spotted 14.90, just ahead of Barry Borman. Is that going to cause the alphas to come out again? Now, Thomas Ronhart still top of the tree. He may well decide that is his lot for this session. But Brendan Lee now down to 7th. Is that going to make him a little bit more nervous and think about coming out again? We shall see. And if the penalties carry on going the way they're going, Marcel Kiefer may well still be racing here next week.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, but Ruben Pedreño has now done a 14.5. So there's your answer. So Ronar is Ronar that first run on the new tyres. He's happy with that. Jake Benham on a 14.59. Barry Borman a thousandth of a second behind him, and then 4 thousandths behind him is Danny Beresnay, and then 3 thousandths behind him is Ruben Pedreño. So there's 8 thousandths of a second separating second down to fifth, which is incredible, incredibly close between all of those. So it's a question now, do those guys bother to go again? If they see Ronars not bothering to go again, then maybe, but it's a tricky call now. But I reckon Brendan Lee is going to have to go again for this, and certainly Nicholas Longue will have to go again. He's P12 at the moment. He'll need to go for another run. Everyone's sort of in the 14.7s, 10th downwards. They'll definitely go again. Marcel Kiefer, Otis Lawrence, they'll need to go again. I think it's anyone who's on a 14.6 or a high 14.5, which is actually, that doesn't help at all. That's the whole grid. which is you know, that's how close this grid was. It's a tricky call now for guys like Jake Benham, Barry Borman, Danny Beresnay, because they're so close together. Do they retire or do they go again? Because an improvement of even 100th of a second will gain you 4 places in that little gaggle.
That's the thing, isn't it? You could almost decide the grid by pulling them out of a hat. They're so close in talent and times at the moment. So I think it's safe to say, rather than face to say, that the person I had my camera set on, Ika Baena, is coming back out. Alfie Butcher has come back out as well. We're going to see the bottom 3 come out: Baena, Tarabucan, and Seriano. I would think, but the ones that have come out towards the beginning of the Banzai phase, there's been Alfie Butcher and Ika Baena. Several of the drivers leaving it quite late. It's a relatively short lap in Hungary, so you can get away with it. If we were in Spa, then they'd be throwing the dice a little bit more. That's one of the Astons that's come out. So, yep, that is indeed Andre Tarabucan. That's one of the Mercs that's now on their way out. So they're 8th and 9th at the moment. Can't identify which one it is. Several drivers now coming out. Marcel Kiefer was the Merc that I'd spotted, along with Andre Tarabucan had already come out. Here we go. So now a big stream of cars all coming out, assumedly on fresh, soft tyres. We can't tell, or I certainly can't tell from the off-board. They look fresh to me, but again, they just could be the way that the camera makes them look. Boromund has come back out. Now, I didn't expect those in the top 5 really to come back out, but Boromund and Beresnay both have come out, along with everybody from 7th downwards. So the only ones that haven't are Ronhar, obviously he's retired from the session, Benham, Pedreño, and Pookie. That's more cars than I was expecting to give another go.
Yeah, and now Pedreño's retired, so he's not bothering to come again, but Istvan Pookie is coming out. He's currently making his way down the pit lane, and this was the debate I was having in my head. Is anyone safe? Probably not, because of how close the grid is. You've got that little gaggle that are separated by 7 thousandths of a second between Jake Benham down to Ruben Pedreño, less than a 100th of a second down to Istvan Pookie then. So nobody is safe really from elimination. And invalidation means you're probably gone out of this session as well, which is tricky now. So the first car that is on a timed lap is Alfie Butcher, currently in the Haas, wants to get himself safely through. He's currently on the bubble. He's currently in, but needs to get himself through. 26.9 in the first sector. He's 100th down on his best first sector so far as he comes round to sector 2. Has the Alpha Tauri of Mirko Soriano just on the right-hand side, passes him safely, comes through the chicane all the way out to the right-hand side using all of the road on the exit of the chicane, throws it into now his snaky section down towards the fast right. That's very, very tricky to get correct and can throw you off to the left-hand side. And he's a 10th up on his best time going through the middle sector. So this will be enough to maybe put in P5, P6 if he hooks up the final sector as well. Maybe he's got more in the tank as Alfie Butcher comes out of the second to last corner now. Has the Mercedes of Marcel Kiefer up in front of him, I think, at the moment, trying to get out of his way. Otis Lawrence, apologies. Comes out of the final corner now. Alfie Butcher will get the toe off the Merc as well. Across the line, second fastest for Alfie Butcher. 14.57 to add to the already long list of 14.5s. And this is why so many went again to go across the start-finish line to begin their laps again. So now we have the top 6 all within the same 10th of a second. There's still plenty more to come, though, as we wait for the final drivers to cross the start-finish line to finish their laps here. Trying to see who will be the next car to cross the line. It'll be, I think, one of the Aston. No, Andrei Tarabukin will. Will he get across the line to begin another lap? I don't know if he will. He might just make it. 2 seconds, 1 second crosses the line will make it to go for another lap. Just about. But it will be Ishmael Fassi who will be the car to cross the start-finish line to finish his lap. He'll get the checker flag shown. Does Fassi make it through? Yes, he does. 14.606, fastest last sector of anybody. Danny Beresnay, fastest here in Q2 so far. Next up the cross line is Marcel Kiefer, goes third fastest. One of the Ferraris, Barry Borman, does a 14.3. Now the times that have to fall. Here comes, that'll be Nicholas Longa. He goes fourth fastest. Next up is Brendan Lee. Does he make it through? He does. Fifth fastest for him. We got a couple of guys coming into the pit lane now as well. Otis Lawrence, he's going to be knocked out. He invalidated his time, unfortunately for him. Mirko Suriano, does he make it through? No. 14th fastest. Jake Benham will be next across the line. He improves anyway and goes 6th fastest. There's only a couple more still to come now. We're waiting for Andrei Tarabukin and Iker Bena and Istvan Pukki. They're the only ones who can maybe trouble the top end here. Here comes Istvan Pukki out of the final corner. A former race winner in PSGL. Can he make it through to Q3 here in Hungary? No. Just misses out by 0.02 of a second. Misses out on Q2. Andrei Tarabukin on his return. Can he make it through to Q3 with a surprise here? No. 14th fastest for him. So that is the end of this session. But Barry Borman goes fastest, 14.387. But like we said, no one was safe, and Pedreño took the risk, and it paid off for him.
Not by much, but yes, it did. An early retirement from earlier retirement from the session saw him come through ninth. I bet you he was looking at that time thinking, shouldn't have done that, but it did pay off for him in the end. Thomas Ronha still wasn't beaten out of the top three. And it was less than a tenth between Ronha and Pedreño, 3rd to 9th. Absolutely great stuff. So we'll just wait for the session to finish good and properly, and we'll confirm who is in and who it isn't. So Barry Borman with that top spot in this session with a stunning 14.387. It was Beresnay and Ronha right behind him. We lose from this session Istvan Pukki in the Red Bull, Otis Lawrence in the Merc, Iker Bayena in the Williams, Andrei Tarabukin in the Aston, and Mirko Suriano in the Alpha Tauri. Now, they were separated by 0.3 of a second, but I think it's fair to say that we didn't see a fully representative time from Andrei and Mirko in particular. But those clouds are getting darker and more numerous. Are we going to have a rain-soaked Q3? I mean, we're going to be restarting the lobby before we go to the race anyway, but that's not going to affect what we look at in Q3. Is it going to rain? Who are you here to support? Make it known in chat, people. Let us see what you've got to say, and let's get it out of the way. No, Yano isn't here. So, first question, is it raining when we head into Q3? We will know very shortly. It's not at this point in time. So our bets, Barry Borman and Alfie Butcher, are still in the session. Who is going to come out on top this time?
Well, we'll see. Statistically wise, Barry Borman has the form with the 2 seasons we've been here. But of course, there's a whole new game right now, and we'll see if he can take 2 pole positions in a row, or was it 3? I think he's going for 3 in a row. Actually, Barry Borman. He took pole in Zandvoort. Also took pole at Brazil, so we'll see if he can go back-to-back poles here in Hungary. Of course, the battle of the pole positions last season was between himself and Thomas Ronnar, always between those two fighting for the top position. But we'll see how this one is going to end with Q3. You can imagine now there will be used tyres attached to some of these cars, but we know now Ronnar's first runs in both of Q1 and Q2 was enough to see him through, so he should have an extra set compared to the others, and we'll see if he makes good use of those. So he might have another, compared to everyone else, he may have another shot. But I think you're right about the potential rain, Chris, because it's unusually busy out on the circuit. Everybody's come out straight away, so I think they're going to be trying to at least get a banker in now and wait and see, because that means if it is going to rain at some point in this session, these banker runs are even more important now.
Very much so. As Jake Benham that leads the train at the moment. If it was going to rain, I'm surprised they didn't really get out there and get on with it a bit quicker than this. Yes, they all left the pits at the same time, but they all have kind of done the usual slower warming up laps. So either way, Jake Benham is the first one to get Q3 running good and proper. Over the line he comes. Now it was a 14.3 that saw out Q2. We're not quite expecting those lap times just yet, but again, if it is going to rain, they may opt to strap the fresh set on immediately in the hope that that is going to be good enough to beat the weather. The sun is still out, so not much in the way of perspiration to worry about yet, but if you look northwards as we ride on board with the AlphaTauri, you will see that it is very, very dark. There is not a lot of sunshine out there. Nice and settled for the AlphaTauri at the moment. Purple Q1, Sector 1, well, yes, obviously it's the only time we've got. Into 6 and 7. Short order, keep the car stable. Didn't get too lively there. We've seen a few very loose cars already in this qualifying session, but this so far hasn't shown to be one of them. Through the last few turns, turn 11, short run down towards turn 12. And what time are we looking at here? I didn't look up in time to see what the second time was for Jake Benham. Into the slow 180-degree left-hander of turn 13. Use the pit lane entry as everybody has always done to open up the line from 13 through 14 now. And it is, what is the opening time? It's a 14.5 from Jake Benham. If that's on used tyres, that's pretty impressive. Brendan Lee already beats it. 14.4, 14.40 for Thomas Ronhaar. We only saw 14.3s at the end of the last session, so this makes me think these are fresh softs, not used softs. Again, that would make sense if the rain is coming. What about Burman? So Marcel Kiefer and Ishmael Farsi back into the pits. That's not ideal for them if the wet weather is coming. They're going to have to really get on with it. What about championship leader Ferrari of Barry Burman? It's second with a 14.447. So again, we have a 14.8, 14.5 as the two standards for Q1 and Q2. It looks like it's 14.4 this time.
Yeah, 5 14.4s in the top 5 there. But Barry, I think, didn't quite get that lap hooked up, did he? Because he was faster in Q2. He did a 14.38 as his best time in Q2. So he's got a bit more time in the tank, you would imagine. Ron over the 14.409 currently, but it is super close. Barry splitting the two Alfa Romeos at the moment, but both of the Hasses, how close do you want them to be? Alfie Butcher and Danny Beresnay, 0.003 of a second between the two of those. And Marcel Kiefer and Ishmael Fassi waited until now to come out for their lap, so they want a free track more than anything.
Well, they validated their first runs, so they turned around really, really quickly to get back out. And also, as we were watching Ishmael Farsi, we saw the Ferrari of Barry Burman bounce over the chicane of 6 and 7. I think he's trying to get back to the pits in a hurry, potentially to strap on another fresh set of softs and get out there. Again, this is all indicating that the rain is at least threatening to be there. We all know that the threat of rain is the rain in this game is as unpredictable as the British weather, so it may appear, it may not, but no one is taking any chances at all, as it's now down to Ishmael Farsi and Marcel Kiefer to get their laps in. Even though they've got the track to themselves now, they may well face the dreaded traffic. If everybody comes back out when they're getting to the end of their timed runs, they may well still hit trouble. We will see.
Yeah, Marcel's come straight back into the pits. So
wow.
Whatever's going on here for Marcel, he's decided to abort that and come back into the pits. Ishmael Fassi, though, has carried on his timed effort now, crossing the split time 27.0 in the first sector. That is competitive from Ishmael Fassi. I will say that the fastest sector time we've had is at 27.8. He got all squirrely on the exit there as he got on the power, but he knows he needs to at least get this banker time in, if anything, get a quick turnaround, get himself back to the pits and try again if he's got another fresh set available. That is, it mightn't have another fresh set of softs in the Williams garage as he comes through towards the middle sector split now. 53.335 in the middle for Ishmael Fassi, so we're waiting to see how this is going to stack up. Of course, he'll be happy to have made it through to Q3. It's his first time back in this grid this season and has immediately got himself through to Q3. So great effort. Nonetheless, from Ishmael Fassi, he gets completely out of shape. Out of the final quarter, there's a 14-6. He knows there's more time in that. That was very squirrely from Ishmael Fassi, but got it across the line, got the time in, and currently 7th fastest for him. 5 minutes on the clock, and drivers already back out on the circuit. This is, I will say, Chris, this is unusual with how quickly these guys are going back out onto the circuit. There's got to be rain forecast.
I would think so. That's my suspicion as well. Everybody except for Brendan Lee and Thomas Ronhart. Actually, no, never mind. Both of the Alfa Romeos are now leaving the pits. So all 10 cars back out on the tarmac once again. Real pressure on Marcel Kiefer. We can ignore the fact that he's got 2 5-grid penalties. We know that they're unjust, and the session will be reset to make sure that he doesn't have to serve them. But over the line to start, I was going to say potentially their last lap. If he's lucky with the timing, he might get another go in if he so feels like it. It's going to be Jake Benham, but he's going to have both of the Alfa Romeos on their warm-up lap to contend with. We will see if he has to trip over them. Turn 2, nice and steady. Over the rumble strip of 3, nothing to worry about there. Turn 4, always a tricky one to get right. Use the apex, and that's purple sector 1, up by nearly a tenth in sector 1 for Jake Benham. As he screams now towards 6 and 7, over as much curb as you dare, and again unsettling the car with that huge great sausage curb on the inside line of turn 7. That still keeps his foot well and truly planted. That's one of the Alphas nicely staying out of the way. The other one, nicely done. I can't see which one is which. That's purple sector 2. One of the 0.125 up for Benham. Where will that put him at the moment? That would put him on pole as it currently stands. What can he do? Use as much of the pit lane entrance as he can. Sweeps through, hugs the inside line of 14. On the power, nice and early, keeps the car steady. What is it for Benham? It's a 1:14 treble 3. That is pole at the moment, but 3 minutes still on the clock. Ishmael Fassi is in the pits. Can he do anything else? He's got time to come out, but he's got a lot of angry cars around him to try and fend off.
Jakey B, where's that come out of? Jake Benham as he crosses the line and goes quickest of all so far. Provisional pole for Jakey B. Let's see what he can do then. Ruben Pedreño crossing the line now. Where does he go? And stays in P9 with that lap. So we're waiting to see. Longay invalidated his time. He will not finish the lap. Alfie Butcher P2 for the moment with the final lap there. Barry Borman though is a 10th up. Here comes Barry Borman going for 3 in a row. Can he do it? He certainly can for now. 14.305 for Barry Borman. Next up will be Beresnay by 1,000. Beresnay by 1,000 steals provisional pole position with 2 minutes on the clock. Now we wait to see what can the Alphas do. Ronar's invalidated, so he will have to go again. Brendan Lee though, how is he getting on in the middle sector? He's 100th up on his best, but the gap up at the top for pole position is and Marcel Kiefer. Where has that come from? Marcel Kiefer is on provisional pole for the Hungarian Grand Prix by just 100th of a second. Here comes Brendan Lee out of the final corner. Can he steal something magical here in Hungaroring? No, P5 for the moment, but Ronar's going to have to go again. Invalidated the time. He's only got 1 attempt now. What a lap from Marcel Kiefer. Where did that come from?
Wow, a 14.2 on the board now. 14.294 in this session. Ronhar is he's going again, and he's got a Ferrari already ahead of him, but his car not looking happy coming out of turn 1 as Pedreño's decided to park it. So no further improvement from the Spaniard. Interesting tactic. 14.6, 460 to the same thousandths of a second as Longay, but has opted not to continue. Now Ronhar, and he's out. He's back out of it. He's invalidated. Ronhar will not improve. The car got really loose coming through turn 4. And that is the end of that run. He's already done. This will be his second attempt on these tyres, on these fuel. He will not improve in this session. Butcher has parked it with a 14.3, not 13. He's good, but not that good. But wow, Borman looking like the man from Iran was going to do it. Beresnay decided, no, I'm having this. And then Marcel Kiefer showing up at the last. I bet you he's very glad he doesn't have to serve those grid penalties.
I know he's going to be over the moon with that if he can hang on. Oh, there's only one car on the lap, and it's Ismail Fassi. And unless Fassi can pull something incredible in this final sector, maybe he might be able to. No, he can't. Improves, but stays in P8. There's only a couple more cars out on the track, but nobody is improving. What an amazing result. Marcel Kiefer, for the first time in PSGL, is on pole alongside Danny Beresnay, who starts on the front row here in the Hungaroring at his home race as well here in Hungary. But nobody would have predicted that one. And I know he'll be delighted with that. He struggled so much on the previous game, moved over to Mercedes, and now, while Jarno's away, Marcel Kiefer plays.
Oh, well played, Marcel Kiefer. That's an absolute stormer. Oh, for the young German. That's the only man in this session under 14.3. We're just now waiting for the remaining cars to call it a day.
It's raining.
And there it is, the long-awaited rain. Too late for some. I think there's been a few spins. Someone's not going very slowly there, but doesn't matter. The checkered flag has fallen. It's now going to be impossible for anybody to improve. Wow, Jack and Anne, neither of us voted that way. My bet of Alfie Butcher starts in 6th, just ahead of Thomas Ronhaar. The Barry Burman, again, showing the class of the field. But I've got no words for Marcel Kiefer. Just, again, no disrespect. And I mean no disrespect to any of these drivers. Yeah, they're all phenomenal. But there are those, exactly as we said at the top of the show, that just have that air of expectation about them. Burman, leading the championship, has been on pole every single time so far. And suddenly a wild Marcel Kiefer appears.
It's incredible. I just want to address something in chat right there. I know Nicholas was on the lap, but he was 2.5 seconds down, guys. I'm not blind. All right? I'm not blind. And also he invalidated it. So shut up. So Marcel Kiefer taking pole position by just 100th of a second. Danny Beresnay starting on the front row, just 1,000th of a second in front of Barry Borman. Jake Benham starts in 4th. Brendan Lee, P5, great result for him. Alfie Butcher as well. Not a bad tip there, Chris, I have to say. P6 for him, his best qualifying so far. Thomas Ronhaar, P7, Ismail Fassi, Nicholas Longue, and Ruben Pedreño, who at the same time, Nicholas Longue and Ruben Pedreño by 1,000th of a second. So, what a shock result, but what a great result. You have to feel great for Marcel Kiefer. All right, there with everything. We're getting a lobby restart now, folks, so do chill out. And while Dylan Warren has the unenviable task of setting up the lobby and getting everyone into their correct grid slots and all that. But we'll have Marcel Kiefer and Mercedes starting on pole. It has been a while.
It has been a while. And again, Marcel Kiefer is a very experienced hand in esports terms. So he knows what to do. He knows what to expect from, what he's expected of him to do well. But that being said, to do well against this kind of field, I don't envy any of them. So well done to all of the drivers, quite frankly, first or last in this field. As always in PSGL F1. It's just incredible to see, and I cannot wait to see how this race is going to come out. If it's going to be raining, really depends on what Dylan does here, because he could be quite nasty. He could put snow out there. Okay, he can't, but you know what I mean. He can really throw the dice with weather. I must admit, when my game transitioned there just before I came out of the game, it did look at least to start dry. So who knows? The rain may have only been affecting the qualifying, but either way, I'm really, really looking forward to what's coming next.
Yeah, we've got a hell of a race set up. So again, Dylan Warren has the unenviable task. He's our lobby host for this evening. He has to put everyone into their correct grid slots. But Danny Beresnay on the front row as well. We'd like to see Danny up there as well, starting up towards the front end. Barry Borman consistently up there. He's the championship leader. He'll start at P3 as well. And Jake Benham, great pace from him as well. And again, Brendan Lee, these guys, every year, they always are consistently up at the front end. Don't forget as well, we have the added little bit of spice that we're cooking. We're cooking something nice here. Because we've got Lucas Blakely and Wilson Hughes starting at the back as well in this race, which will make for some interesting watching. Of course, they're racing from the McLaren Technology Centre in the UK as well. So the two of them are on rigs next to each other, like they would be in F1 Esports. But they're going to be starting from the back of the grid because they missed qualifying, which is going to be a bit of an interesting watch, I think, because Blakely has done this before. He's the only driver to have started last and won a race in PSGL. He did it in Bahrain a couple of seasons ago. Is he going to do it again? It's possible, but he has done it before.
But Hungary is not an easy track to overtake at. So that's something you're going to have to bear in mind. And if the weather plays a part in this, that's going to make everybody's progress that much more interesting. Not necessarily difficult, but something they have to bear in mind. So, yeah, I watched that race that Lucas did from nowhere to winning. And, yeah, that was just unreal. But different game, different track, obviously, potentially different conditions. So it's going to be fun to see what Lucas did. Have you ever actually been to the MTC, Jack?
I have not, no. But I know you have.
I have indeed.
You can enlighten us.
Admittedly, I haven't been to the actual MTC itself. I went to the conference centre, which is on the same site, but not the actual where the real cars are, so to speak. But even the conference centre is space age. It is an amazing, amazing place. So he'll be well looked after in that particular surrounding. But it's amazing to be surrounded by the DNA, the lifeblood of what McLaren really is about. So if nothing else, he'll be a comfy ride for him. So it's going to be interesting. Will that make a difference? Who knows? But yeah, I'm going to be keeping half an eye on him. But I'm still really looking forward to that front pack, the collection we weren't expecting. How well they're going to fend off the advances of Borroman. Can Danny Beresnay convert that front row start into a win? What's Alfie Butcher going to manage to do in amongst that lot? We know he's talented. They're all damn talented. So there's so many unknowns. This is what I love about league racing.
Yeah, it's great that we get to see the new guys as well. Alfie Butcher starting in P6, right up at the front end as well. Be interested to see how he gets on from there as well. Because again, this is one of his best qualifyings. We saw him fight for a win last season in Saudi Arabia versus Luke Smith. Incredibly close battle. Luke Smith did come out on top in that one, but he was looking like the favourite all the way through. Luke pipped him to pole by a couple of thousandths and also beat him by just about 2/10 across the line. There was a run to the line between I think two of them as well across the start-finish line in Saudi Arabia. So I'm not sure we're going to get that today in Hungary. It's a bit tricky with the run to the line. We would have had it in Vegas, definitely. But we're mixing it up here with Hungary. The drivers did not like Vegas or complained about it enough that Connor basically gave in, which is not an easy thing to do. If you've tried to get Connor to do something, you're gonna have a hard way. That's why he's such a fantastic league owner. But again, it's all about being that authority figure. But he had enough of the drivers gave out to him enough that they changed it to Hungary. But we're waiting now just for the last few drivers to get in. I can tell you the McLarens have made it. So Lucas Blakely and Wilson Hughes are in the lobby, ready and waiting, live from the McLaren Technology Centre, which is going to be great to see how they get on from 19th and 20th. I'm more interested now because Dylan has the power now to decide who starts 19th and who starts 20th. Maybe they might live in an advantage-disadvantage thing going on there, but will they play favouritism? Who does Dylan Warren choose to start 19th? This is going to be the big controversy going forward. But I've seen a couple of you asking, championship standings, how do we look? Barry Borman currently leading the standings by I think 10 points. I think is the gap he has at the moment to Danny Beresnay is the current gap at the moment.
Well, the championship positions I was given were there was 10 points between Borman and Beresnay. Following this is after 4 rounds, or after round 4, which was Brazil last time out. Borman leading the way on 28, Beresnay second on 18, Benham third on 17, then Wilson Hughes and Jana Watmir both on 12. With Lucas Blakely on 8, Dylan Warren and Danny Moreno and Fabrizio Donoso on 6, Brendan Lee on 4, along with Marcel Kiefer, our pole man for this round. Shanaki Clay also on 4 points, with Otis Lawrence and Tom Manley on 3, Patrick Sipos on 2, Louis Welch on 1, with Carrington, Longe, Idowu and Ronha yet to score. And I think Am I looking at the lobby correctly to see that all 20 drivers are in? It does look that way. So we're waiting for
the grid to be set.
Oh,
Dylan now has to work his magic to get the grid in the correct spaces.
Yes.
For the moment, but we should be only maybe about 3 minutes or so away from lights out. No formation lap either as well, so it's going to be straight in to the action here because unfortunately the formation lap still does not function correctly with tire temperatures according to some of the drivers here. But yeah, as you can see, Borman with a 10-point lead. Point system is different in PSGL as well. For some of you who aren't aware, 16 points for a win going down to P10. So there's slight different variations compared to other leagues. So 16 for the win. I think it's then 12 for second, 10 for third, going down all the way to P10 for 1 point for P10. So 1 point for fastest lap as well as per normal. So he has got a decent lead when we look at that point system. But again, it'll take one bad round to overturn it. That's the beauty of this point system. It's that close that one round could flip the whole championship on its head. We saw it happen at the end of last season, right at the very end, in the stewards room, where it came down to count back between Barry Borman and Thomas Ronnar after stewards' decisions. So let's wait and see. But Borman leading the championship at the early part of the round, Beresnay behind him. Statistically wise, I like to use that a lot, but statistically wise, Borman leading the championship at the start of the season has never ended well for him. But maybe this time the look has changed now with him winning the title last season, albeit in the stewards room. But again, it was all decided. Leading the championship has never gone well for him. He's always done well at the start, but then whatever happened, either through missing rounds or through losing points or whatever, the championship has never gone his way. But he'll want to win a championship, quote-unquote, properly this time. I
think they all do. No one wants to win it by Stewart's decision. You always want to win it on track, on merit. But rules are rules, and they have to be enforced by the governors that be, and that's a fairly thankless task. I've been lobby host, so I know exactly the troubles that Dylan is currently going through. It's not the work of a moment to get that right. I've done stewarding, and that is very often a thankless task. So, big thanks to those that behind the scenes that do the stewarding, do the captain the ship. Big C. Bearing in mind, he too is an esports race winner. He won in China back in 2017.
Arguably the best F1 esports win. I know he'll say that, but the most big brain call of all time in F1 esports.
I was in the box that day, and I remember I was screaming my head off at that one. I'd forgotten how long ago it was. I didn't realize it was 20. It was 6 years ago. But either way, he knows what it takes. Yes, things have of course slightly changed, but there's certain fundamentals that don't change in that sort of time. Racing is racing, so when you take the mindset of a driver and you then have to apply that into a stewarding format, having that knowledge of driver instinct and aggression and what you can or can't or should or shouldn't do really does help in trying to maintain a more consistent stewarding process. Now the countdown is ticking down to 0. Those on the stream will hear that. So let's switch back over to the lobby. Yes, we're only loading into it, but with there being no formation lap, we need to be ready to rumble. Mr. Canan, do you want to take the start, sir?
Oh, I never get to do that. Thanks, Chris.
all yours, sir. Be my guest.
But yeah, absolutely. So no formation lap because I think there's something with the tire temperatures. If drivers get disqualified from the formation lap for accidentally hitting into somebody or whatever, their tire temperatures are reset back to basically 0. So we're going to have no formation lap, straight into the action. Marcel Kiefer on pole for the first time in PSGL. Can he convert it into a first ever PSGL win for him? So there will be some interest here going forward, but we will be seeing, can Danny Beresnay get another victory? Can he get, I think it's his 3rd win he's trying to go for here, Danny Beresnay. And we'll see now if Barry Borman can also continue his winning run. So we will continue to wait for the timer to tick down. The tires need to be set. We'll see who goes on what tires. We didn't really mind, or we sort of knew what tires people were going to be on back in the old game cycle. But now we don't. It's going to be an interesting mix. Lucas Blakely, Wilson Hughes starting 19th and 20th. on the grid here. So we'll be seeing if they can make their way through the order. We know Lucas has definitely done it before a couple of seasons ago. We have so many different strategies being mixed up as well. You got Denoso starting down the back as well in 18th on the grid, and even more still to come in this race. Championship on the line, of course. Only 5 rounds in, a long season ahead, and the drivers only know the next 3 rounds we're going forward, so they can't practice that far in advance from this. But this is a very long whole screen.
It is.
This is taking a while to go into the race. But
yeah, I thought we'd be there. But oh, there we go. Jack, all yours.
Absolutely. Marcel Kiefer on your right, Berezne on your left. Who is going to get the best start? Away we go for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Berezne gets an excellent start from the second position on the grid, already pulling alongside Marcel Kiefer towards turn 1. Boerman looking for the room. We go 3 abreast, down towards turn 1. Kiefer in the middle. Berezne on the right of your screen now as they exit the corner. Berezne side by side with Marcel Kiefer for the lead of this race. Berezne is in front as they come into the break, so Boerman sticks it down the inside. Into turn 3, they'll come again. Boerman gets clear. Kiefer shuffled back to third. Danny Berezne will lead out of turn number 3. They all fan out behind. Longue making positions. Benham attacking Kiefer round the outside. He gets it done as well. Kiefer shuffled back another place to P4 as well. He is on the hards, of course. The rest are on the soft tires, apart from Berezne, who's trying to make the hards work now as they exit into the chicane for the first time. But Danny Berezne leads his home race with an excellent start, and he did that on the hard tire.
Well, Barry Boerman tried to hold that one around the outside of turn 1, but he was denied by the Hungarian, and they're actually starting to pull away from Benham a little bit as the field obviously still very heavily condensed, and that's Boerman. Big move on the inside line of 12. Does make it stick. He had to get that one done. He's got to do it to make his tyre strategy stick. Oh, there's trouble in the back. It's Blakely. It's Lucas Blakely's in trouble in the McLaren. Oh no, he's had coming together with Andre Terry Buchan. That's a little bit less than ideal for them, but it's Boerman over the line first. That's for Benham now, trying to get past Danny Berezne. Now the soft tyres are starting to come good on these early laps. Also keep an eye on, that's Ruben Pedreño getting past Alfie Butcher. And the hard tyres are, of course, going to be at a bit of a disadvantage at this stage, but fair play for Berezne for holding on as long as he did, even leading that first lap with that tyre disadvantage.
Yeah, he did well, didn't he? Barry Boerman, though. He got through, and he's now got Benham behind him. These two on the softs need to make it work, as does Istvan Pukki, who's made an excellent start. You have to say, Istvan Pukki started P11 up to P5, chasing after Marcel Kiefer, who did his best to try and hang on the hard tyres, but got swallowed up by Berezne and the rest of the soft runners as well. Nicolas Longue trying to make his way through on those softs as well. Only 2 drivers on the medium tyre. Iker Bena and Ruben Pedreño have both got on the medium tyre, but looking through here, it's looking interesting between Longue and Brendan Lee. Brendan Lee trying to get through. Istvan Pukki has a look on the inside of Marcel Kiefer. He gets a little shove to the inside, and through goes Istvan Pukki up to P4. Longue couldn't quite find the gap to get through on Brendan Lee, so has to sit behind and be patient as they head down to begin another lap around the Hungaroring. 0.6 of a second between Benham, and Benham is sticking with Boerman really well up the front here. DRS enabled towards the end of this lap is enabled now as they cross the start finish line. Longue with a big look on the inside of Brendan Lee. The tyre advantage will help him. Through he goes. Pedreño goes through, and Ishmael Fassi, Mirko Suriano and Otis Lawrence side by side as well. These two on differing tyre strategies. Denoso in the mix as well, trying to make positions on the soft compound tyre side by side between Suriano and Otis Lawrence. Through turn 3, through turn 4 they go. Just about Suriano getting clear, but Denoso trying to attack, can't quite get through on the run up the hill, and they have to settle into position. So hectic first lap, but huge positions gained. Has to be said, a hat tip to Istvan Pukki, up from P11 to P4.
Very nicely done indeed. Andre Tarabukin, the first retiree from this race. Istvan Pukki on the back of Danny Berezne. Already 1.5 seconds between the top two and our lead hard runner, which is, of course, Berezne. Now, what is Benham going to do here? Is he going to try and attack Boerman, or is he going to try and stay there? Typically, you would try and stay with the lead runners, certainly in the first part of the race, and see how the pit stop strategy plays out. It's Iker Bena, also an early victim, but he's still going in the Williams. He's on the medium tyres. Can he make him last that to the end of the race? Who knows? Blakely is caught the back of the pack now, despite that early spin on the hard tyres. Wow, that's going to make his day even harder. And István Pukki with the DRS flies past Danny Beresnay now. He's got 1.8 seconds to try and close into the top 2. How hard is he going to push in that Red Bull? Oh, is that trouble for Lawrence? No, don't think it is. I think that's just Fabrizio Donoso and Marcus Soriano all arguing over that 11th spot, of which Otis Lawrence, he's had to bow out of it. He's on the harder tyres. He can't fight, realistically, the soft runners at this point. But this is going to be a test of patience, making your strategy work. It's all too easy for lesser experienced heads to either panic or try and impulsively overtake without really playing your strategy properly. Let the tyres come to you. Easy for us to say, or easy for me to say, I'm the one that said it in the commentary box, but when you're down there in the heat of the moment, it's all too easy to push too hard and try and gain time that will naturally come to you with the tyre difference. István Pukki cut that gap down to 1.5 seconds now. He is pushing in the Red Bull.
He is, yeah. He needs to get close to these guys in front, but he's using up all of his ERS to try and do it. At the same time, Nicolas Longe is getting impatient behind the Mercedes and Marcel Kiefer, who started on pole. But again, remember, he's on the hard tyres, so his biggest fight at the moment is with Beresnay. Needs to stay with him, if at all possible, as they come up towards the start-finish line. I'm sensing a little look at the inside from Longe, if he can find enough of a gap to do so. He's got the tyre advantage for the moment. Has a little lunge from a long way back. Kiefer sees him coming just about. Loses the rear end there, but Kiefer did well there to see him come in and left him enough space and no more. And Longe is getting frustrated behind the Mercedes now, can't find a way through and is trying to have a battle at the same time. Pedreño tried to look in a very unconventional place, the fast kink coming through turn 4, and couldn't do it on Brendan Lee. But Longe now frustrated behind the Mercedes of Marcel Kiefer, can't find a way through in the middle sector. Had a look on the inside and Kiefer gave him just enough room to get it stopped. But again, not working out so far for Nicolas Longe, but I could tell you a man who is doing an excellent job at the moment. Danny Beresnay is on the hards and is staying in DRS of István Pukki for the moment, and is also managing to save ERS. He was excellent at this in Brazil, managed to stay with these guys, is just nipping in and out of DRS at the moment, but is doing a good job to try and stay with them. István Pukki into the pits now really early off those soft tyres, so you can see now they're not lasting very well, but István Pukki wants to make positions, get off these tyres and then go very long. So it's going to be, what is it going to be? It's going to be the medium tyre for István Pukki.
Okay, so soft to medium then for István Pukki. Those tyres are going to be pretty upset by the end of the race. We'll see what he's able to do. So that now gives Beresnay a 3-second gap to these top 2. So Beresnay, exactly as you said, Jack, he's not fighting the top 2 at the moment because of the tyre difference. So again, Benham just keeping himself very, very large in the mirrors of the leading Ferrari at the moment. Barry Burman knows that he's got the at least an on-track advantage. Denota's getting very close to the back of Marcus Soriano. So again, those two on soft tyres, but Otis Lawrence is staying right with them as well. Have these soft runners burned the best out of their tyres? Well, István Pukki obviously thought so. He's on the mediums. He slots in behind the McLarens by around about 6.5 seconds. So he's got lots of clear track to get the hammer down. But of course, no DRS and no playmates at this point in time. It's jumping up to what is now battle for third place. Beresnay and Kiefer, our pole sitter. I think it was fair to say that it was kind of expected for Marcel to be kind of mugged a little bit, being that he's on the harder tyres. Also keeping it right behind him, Ruben Pedreño is hustling Brendan Lee hard. Now, the Alfa Romeo, he's doing a great job of keeping Pedreño behind, as that's another one in the pits. That's Soriano that's had enough of his starting tyres, and that is Brendan Lee and Longe still fighting. These two have been fighting in F1 League Racing for as long as F1 League Racing has existed, it feels like. Longe and Brendan Lee have crossed swords many times in the past, and exactly as you say, Jack, I think Longe is getting impatient. But Brendan Lee's doing a sterling job of keeping the Frenchman behind him.
Yeah, I think Longe's burned through his softs because Brendan managed to get by him with relative ease down the straight, and Longe was trying to get by Kiefer for the longest time and is now falling by the wayside. Mirko Soriano's been into the pits as well to put on the medium tyre, and all of a sudden Marcel Kiefer has closed the gap up to Danny Beresnay, hasn't he? In between half a second now up to the Hungarian, but the gap has stabilised sort of between Beresnay and Jake Benham. It's not going up or down So the hards are now in their window. The mediums are certainly still in their window because Pedreño is all over the rear of Nicolas Longue. So Longue's tyres are absolutely dead on that Ferrari. Is he going to come in and get off them? No, he's not. He's going to struggle through and try and go longer here. So stick to their plan for the moment. But Ruben Pedreño looks like the man who's going to make a move by Nicolas Longue. Knows he needs to make the medium tyres work. DRS open. A little bit of ERS usage gets the job done down the straight, side by side of the back between Otis Lawrence, who's now getting by Donoso, who's also burned through his soft tyres early on, and Otis Lawrence moves his way up into P10. But for the moment, these two up front, Boorman and Benham, are not pushing. They've been obviously looking after their tyres. No ERS usage really, managing that gap back to Danny Beresnay. But this is what this game cycle has brought, Chris. The differing strategies and the three different stories that are unfolding on track.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you haven't got one big DRS train from first down to somewhere near the back. You've got differing strategies. I'm amazed at how many different tyre strategies we're seeing. Generally, everybody sticks with the hards, or vast majority of people stick with one compound from the start. We've seen all three tyre compounds represented before the lights even went out. So this is going to be fascinating to see how this plays out. Look at the gap from Beresnay to Benham. That is absolutely disintegrating at this point. Now down to 2.3 seconds. Are the top two coming in? No, they are continuing. They want to make those medium tyres work as best they can. Whereas the hard starters are likely to be going towards the softs towards the end, unless the weather plays a part. Actually, no, the weather won't play a part, because I saw what the weather was going to do before we started, and it is dry. So no clouds, no rain, nothing going on there. Ismail Farsi is shaping up. Nicolas Longue gets the inside line. Can he keep the Ferrari behind on the way out the corner? Answer is just about. The Williams is now going to have the inside line for turn 2, and that should be enough to keep Nicolas Longue behind and make his day even worse. Alfie Butcher now staring at the back of the Ferrari. He's not going to try anything silly here, but he's now going to be next in line to make the Hungarians' day even worse. And you could just see the amount of understeer that the Ferrari had. There's nothing left in those soft tyres. Even Alfie getting a bit of a twitch on coming out of turn 5. But there is just nothing left in those softs on Longue. I dare say anyone on the that started on the softs has just burned them down the canvas now.
Yeah, you can see that getting stuck behind Kiefer. When he wasn't able to make it by Kiefer, he just, again, had to work harder, use up the tyre more, and is now feeling the pressure from the rest of the guys who started on the harder compounds. But Barry Boorman and Jake Benham have been able to manage it out front. You can see Boorman is carrying on, but Benham is coming into the pits now. In comes Jake Benham trying an undercut on Barry Boorman. So now we'll see how this is going to unfold here at AlphaTauri as he comes down the pit lane. And of course, now we've got to see, where does Istvan Pukki come out in all this? I'm really intrigued to see how the strategy for Istvan Pukki is going to work out. He pitted super early off those tyres as Alfie Butcher gets the move done on Nicolas Longue in towards turn 1. So that's that move sorted down into the next quarter, as well as Otis Lawrence tries an audacious move around the outside, but that will not work out for him. But Pukki comes out in front of Benham, for those who are wondering, 3 seconds to the good. So now it's all going to be about, of course, tyre life for Istvan Pukki. You'd imagine he's going to need to stop again on those mediums. Surely he can't make the end of the race here, but I think it's been a while since I've seen a 2-stop strategy in league racing. True
enough. It's Hungary, a lot of corners and some medium speed corners as well, which absolutely chew up tyres. A lot of slow ones which won't do an awful lot for tyre life, granted, but there's a lot of braking zones here, so I think tyre management is going to be absolutely key on those that pitted early. We will see. We are watching Otis Lawrence still hustling the back of Longue. The gap between the Ferrari and the Haas of Alfie Butcher ahead of the Frenchman is just growing corner by corner. And that's really surprising from Longue. He's still not come in. I wonder if he's not convinced that those mediums are going to be much cop if he comes in now. Again, we've got so many different tyre strategies. It's going to be interesting to see. That's a big move. Otis, he kind of second-guessed himself there. Can he hold on to the inside line coming down towards turn 2? And there you go. There's no grip left for the Ferrari to utilise. So, realistically, Nicolas Longue could well have attacked there, but he had nothing left to do it with. So, that was a position was gained by Otis Lawrence, but it nearly was thrown away as he kind of went for that move very, very late.
Yeah, so these guys who are still out on the softs trying to go long, go further and deeper into this race. Pedreño as well, of course, is the outlier in this on the medium tyre, who's made up good positions behind Brendan Lee at the moment. So Barry Bormand is still out there and is not really pushing, still has 90% ERS out the front there, managing the gap here to his rival of Danny Beresnay at the moment. He's on the hard tyres. His next closest rival, of course, who was on the soft tyres, is Van Pookie, who's gone for a major different strategy here. But Bormann's carrying on for another lap here around the Hungaroring. Nicholas Longe, Fabrizio Donoso, what did they do as they come towards the final corner? It's going to be another lap and another lap for Donoso. Dylan Warren as well is also staying out. So that just shows you how early Istvan Pukki and Mirko Suriano pitted, as well as Jake Benham. They're really trying something different by going onto the medium tyres. Istvan Pukki's actually now trying to clear the McLarens, who have, of course, have not pitted yet. He's passed Lucas Blakely. Now he passes Wilson Hughes, and that, of course, is for 14th place. But, of course, the very much out of sequence, the McLarens there. They have not been into the pits yet either. So, lap 12 of 35, probably the quietest period we've seen. And tell you what, Bormann's done a great job at managing those softs, because that gap is not it's not coming down rapidly, so he's been able to look after those tyres really well out there.
Absolutely so, and that's the first track limit penalty as Piotr Stałek has got the dreaded 3 seconds. He's in 13th at the moment. Ika Bayana has decided to park the Williams. You can't really blame him. He was quite a long way back following a first corner incident with Andre Terabukin and Lucas Blakely. So that's 2 down, 18 still remain. Still quite a lot of racing to conclude. I'm stunned that Barry Bormand has managed to continue that length, that kind of pace this long, and is going on again. So it's nearly, we're not far off. I was going to say not far off halfway, but my maths is failing me there. We're still a few laps away from that yet, but he's still pressing on. Oh my goodness, Thomas Ronard nearly in the back of Fabrizio Donoso coming through that final turn. I think the Alfa Romeo just expected the Aston Martin to be quicker than that. Whoa, that was close. Was there a bit of contact there? If it was very light. But Donoso got a big wiggle on coming out of turn 1 as Donoso and Ronhard both mugged Nicholas Longe, who had no DRS to defend with. And still Longe nailed to the back of the ever-failing soft shot Aston Martin off Fabrizio Donoso, but there's nowhere for Thomas Ronhard to use his pace advantage at the moment. He's got to be patient, but the gap in front of the Aston Martin's continuing to grow. It's nearly 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's Thomas Ronhard, of course. He started P7, has dropped down a little bit because of the guys behind him starting on the different tyre strategies here, but is trying to make his way now with those hards on, trying to make good use of them now and trying to clear Fabrizio Donoso, but is not having the easiest time of it. Longe as well is now under pressure from Dylan Warren, who's also on the soft tyres and is trying to hang on here. But the key point here is when you compare those guys starting on the softs, Istvan Pukki has nearly caught them, because that's how quickly those softs have fallen off, and he's been in the pits. In comes Longe, in comes Dylan Warren, finally, to get off those soft tyres and box onto a fresh set. Ronhard now will get in front of Donoso, and it will be a set of those medium tyres for Dylan Warren and for Nicholas Longe. So, tell you what, Pookie's got a long way to go on those mediums. If he's trying to get to the end, which I don't think he's going to be able to do, if he does, that's going to be some effort. But the crucial thing is, which I've just missed, is Benham has passed him on track.
Yeah, we just saw that, and it was a very easy move for Jake Benham to do. And there's only 4 laps difference between those 2 medium sets, but that could be all that's needed to make Istvan Pukki Day that much more difficult. But then coming back to Bormand, how has he made those softs work that well for that long, unless everyone behind him is managing their tyres for a very long stint, which, yes, you're going to go a long way to start with on those hard tyres, but I would have expected that gap to just completely be gone, looking at the pace difference on those medium tyres further back down the field. So Jake Benham, again, just nails Piotr Stałek coming through turn 12. So Benham, he is pushing hard, and he is now right in the middle of the pack to really make a difference. Whoa, and that's the Aston of Donoso going a bit deeper than I think he anticipated. Now Bormand has come in along with Stałek. Now Stałek's on the hard tyres. I thought he would have gone longer than 13. Oh, he's retired. So there was a problem for Piotr Stałek. He's opted to park the car So now it's Donoso that's the one that's trying to make the tyres last as long as possible, as Borman, with just under half the race done, onto the medium tyres. Should be a fairly... Whoa, again, the tail of that Alfa Romeo. Thomas Ronnar channeling his drift mode, keeping the car just about on the black stuff. But Jake Benham has just mugged Fabrizio Donoso on the run to turn 4. Donoso, for God's sake, get off those tyres, man.
He's really doing a long stint, isn't he? He's praying for something to go his way now, but Benham in a good spot right now. But Borman has been into the pits now and is onto the medium compound tyres, so he's going to be super quick on those tyres. Has come out a couple of seconds, about 6-7 seconds or so, I think, behind Jake Benham. So the undercut is very powerful, but he's got 5 lap fresher tyres compared to Jake here. So Jake needs to make his way through, but needs to be patient. Remember, he won from 17th before already this season, so he's going to be trying to do and get himself back on the top step of the podium again, and is in with a good shout if he can hang on. Donoso finally comes into the pits to get off to those soft tyres. So now we begin another lap 16 to 35. Benham gets clear of Ronnar. So for the moment, with those hard runners that are out front now, Danny Beresnay is leading this race by just a couple of car lengths. Marcel Kiefer running in second as Borman gets himself in front of 2 cars, gets in front of Blakely and of Mirko Suriano. So on a charge, Barry Borman, as he clears the slower traffic behind. But Beresnay, Kiefer and Brendan Lee, they're going to be pitting later in this race, and they're going to be the ones very, very quick towards the end when they get off those hard tyres. But it is Danny Beresnay who leads from Kiefer, from Lee, from Ruben Pedreño, who's the little sort of in the middle here on the slightly different strategy on the mediums, which have held on very well, it has to be said. Ishmael Fassi's in the middle of this as well, doing a great job in the Williams, and Alfie Butcher and Otis Lawrence. They're those top guys who are still yet to come into the pits, but only 1.3 seconds behind Otis Lawrence is Jake Benham, who's, when you think about it, that is a huge undercut when he comes into the pits. So track position he's going for as Barry Borman gets clear of Wilson Hughes. But the question is, how will those tyres hang on towards the end for Benham, as Marcel Kiefer, the first of the hard runners to peel in?
Right behind him is Alfie Butcher as well. Yeah, Borman actually made that move in between turn 10 and 11. One of the most unorthodox moves you'll see in this race, I dare say. But again, he is pushing hard to make sure he is back towards the front of the pack. More medium tyres being strapped on for Butcher and Kiefer. That should prove well for them. But how far are these hard starters going to go? Are they going to try and finish the race on soft tyres? It's certainly not impossible. We'll see how that plays out for them. So Longuet and Butcher coming back out towards the tail end of the field at the moment. Although side by side, actually, with Marcel Kiefer, is the Frenchman can't quite overcome sorry, it was Kiefer and Butcher that came in. Nicholas Longuet's got 3 laps on those tyres already. So great scrap towards the tail end of the field. I would say, whoa, never mind what I was going to say, because Marcel Kiefer got turn 4 wrong. Nicholas Longuet had a look on the outside line coming down towards 5, not enough for him there. But yeah, those tyres not quite up to temperature for Marcel Kiefer just yet. And Nicholas Longuet smelled blood in the water, couldn't quite make it work.
He's still stuck behind Marcel. The car he tried to pass earlier has managed to come out in front of him as well with an overcut. So again, made it work. So he's going to be frustrated behind that Mercedes even more. Otis Lawrence, next Mercedes to pit, comes down the pit lane now to strap on a set of the medium tyres to go around again. But you can see now they'll have much fresher tyres compared to some of the others who pitted really early. I mean, Istvan Pukki, he pitted super early. He's 12 laps on those already as Mirko Suriano gets himself in front of Wilson Hughes. The 2 McLarens, of course, are staying out there and hoping that something happens behind them. Otis Lawrence will come out just in front of Donoso, but of course, again, he won't have the tyre temperatures. The Donoso is going to have to attack here and try and get round the young Welshman who's trying to keep that position from him. Donoso has the tyre temperature to try and stick it all the way around the outside, coming through the hairpin, has the inside for the next corner, shows the outside to Lawrence, still side by side up the hill, and Otis Lawrence was not happy with him. The trademark wiggle of the wheel to show that he was not happy with Donoso's move there, but he had to make the tyre temperature work. It was right on the margins there from Donoso, but gets himself in front of Otis Lawrence for now. But Benham is caught the lead train, and of course that's going to give him with a huge lead going across the line when they come in.
Absolutely so. And now Beresnay is in. So officially the lead will go over to Brendan Lee. How has Pedreño made those tyres last that long? But then how did Barry Burman make the softs last as long as it did? So fair play to them. So Jake Benham now with a big advantage. Can he get past Fassi, Pedreño and Lee? He needs to do so quickly to make that tyre advantage as big as he can. Beresnay, of course, tumbling down through the field, just leaving the pit lane now. He'll be right with that battle. Oh, what a time for my Discord to give me a call. No. I need to shut that up. I'm terribly sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with me. Jack, take it away.
While we sort that out, Beresnay has come out behind Donoso. He won't have wanted that to come out behind Donoso. Kiefer now gets in front of Lucas Blakely, but you can see the undercut is super powerful around Hungary right here. So Kiefer now in front of Alfie Butcher, in front of Beresnay, who's now fallen down to in and around Donoso Otis Lawrence territory. So Barry Borman chasing after the lead guys right here. He's caught up to Istvan Pukki, who went for that super early undercut to try and make something happen. He's obviously on a two-stop strategy here, but Benham is the man on a chart. He's all over the back of Ismail Fassi into the final corner. So as they cross the line now, it's Brendan Lee who's leading this race now on the hard compound tyres. Otis Lawrence gets a 3-second penalty. Ismail Fassi now with those tyres getting clear of Pedreño, and a big lunge on the inside from Benham to take P3 away. But Benham, after these pit stops, he is in the net race lead. After these pit stops happen, Borman now attacking Istvan Pukki, gets himself in front. So, huge amount going on here as Alfie Butcher sticks it down the inside of Dylan Warren. They're fighting for position later on. Alfie Butcher on the fresher tyres gets himself in front, but Danny Beresnay is in a world of trouble. He's 3 wide with Blakely and Otis Lawrence. They're fighting for position. Remember, this is for a net podium later on, but this is costing them time, and this is exactly what guys like Brendan Lee and everyone in front of them needs to see before they get to the front later. But after the pit stops happen, it will be Jake Benham who will lead this race, and the next car behind him is Barry Borman on the same strategy, who's catching him quite quickly, and he's got 5 lap fresher tyres, and then it's Marcel Kiefer a further 6 back. My
apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I need to have a word with who keeps calling me. It's my son. So on Discord, Borman has just gotten ahead of Ron Hart. Ron Hart's tyres screaming enough at this point. Butcher and Soriano have swapped around as well. Fassi and Pedreño are in. So what tyres is Pedreño going to go on? Is he going to try softs to the end of the race? That's, again, quite some distance, but we've been seeing all race long that people have made their tyres go much further than I thought. And Pukki is in again. So that'll be soft for him. It is soft for Pedreño. He had no real choice. He had to try and make those softs work, but I would have thought he would have wanted to have gone longer on the mediums. Either way, that's the that's the gamble he's made. We'll see how well that pays off or doesn't pay off. We will see. So now the field completely jumbled up. Oh my goodness me! As Donoso has just hit the back of Otis Lawrence coming into turn 2. Oh my goodness me! Gesticulation. I've gone to the wrong car. Whoa! As Donoso's gone very wide. Beresnay's now through. My goodness me, that got very, very ugly. Typical me going to the wrong car, just at the wrong point there. Wilson Hughes had a great ringside seat for that one. But those hard tyres failing the McLaren at every opportunity. But this pack of 4 here, so tightly condensed, is now being led by Longue, who's got the oldest tyres of them all.
Yeah, this is all for sort of podium positions, but it won't be because they're costing each other time by fighting it out so hard here as they come down into the middle sector. Brendan Lee pits off of the hard tyres. So now it'll be Jake Benham who will lead this race in front of Barry Borman, who's got much fresher tyres, is now side by side Lawrence with Longue, who goes all the way around the outside. Lawrence with a great move on the Ferrari there. Longue trying his best to hang on, but Borman's second. Ronner hasn't pitted yet, so that's Marcel Kiefer is now P3, but is being hunted down by Alfie Butcher. This pack is still fighting it out. Otis Lawrence, Longue, Beresnay in the middle now. Beresnay might get the double here on the exit. Gets through turn 1, he gets by 1, gets the squeeze put on him by the Welshman. Side by side into turn 3. Won't have the run to get through on the inside, but Beresnay fancies a chance here to get by Otis Lawrence. He gets by Longue. Donoso trying to fight with Longue in the back as well. These two fight it out, just make it through into the next part of the corner, and they all sort themselves out for the moment. But Berezne needs to get by Lawrence here, who has got a 3-second time penalty, so he's now got to make his way through. They're 3 seconds off of the next car, which is Dylan Warren, all of a sudden, who's managed to work his way into a net P5 at the moment, after run our pits, of course. So Benham leads by 1.4 seconds, but are those tyres going to hang on?
That's the golden question, isn't it? Pedreño has just mugged Wilson Hughes, along with Brendan Lee, also making the pass on the very, very, I'd say stricken, but certainly a bit worse for wear. McLaren, as Ronha has got a speeding in the pit lane penalty. Oh dear, that will not please the Dutchman, as he now gets off of those hard tyres. That's surely, oh no, he's got mediums. So I thought soft might work from that kind of distance, but he's got mediums, and that will not help us, because he's found Pookie now with the fastest lap of the race thus far. But that gap between Benham and Borroman is shrinking pretty rapidly. The AlphaTauri's not going to be in a great position to defend against a very, very hard-charging Barry Burman. 5-lap difference to the Ferrari's advantage. Oh, that's going to be a hard task for Benham to do, and to still make it home with anything left on those tyres. Keeping an eye on Pedreño as well. He's now on the back of Nicolas Longuet. What can he do to get into the top 10? Nearly slams into the back of the second Ferrari. What is the Spaniard going to be able to do? He's trying to push the Ferrari out of the way. He's trying to think of any position he could try and get past the Frenchman. My goodness me, he's just nudging Longuet. Somewhat unorthodox. He's now going to try to move, is he? No. Oh, where the hell was Brendan Lee? How the hell did you slow that down, sir? There's a chucks the Alfa Romeo on the inside line of 12. Makes it stick. Rim Pedreño's forced off the road. Jake Benham is now into the pits. Could not make those tyres hold. So he's going on to soft. So that hands the lead back over. A 6.2 second lead back to Barry Borroman. Now Pedreño manages to get past Longuet. But Brendan Lee, where the hell did that come from?
I saw him sizing that up through Sector 3. He saw how much that Pedreño was getting stuck behind Longuet, so he waited for the exit, pounced beautifully on those new tyres. That is the move of the season so far from Brendan Lee. Got it stopped, got it done, makes his way up to P9, but Jake now is going to have a lot of work to do. Down in P12, but has fresh medium. So Barry Bormand leads this race. And this shows you, Chris, how much the fighting cost those guys. Barry Bormand is 6 seconds in the lead now. Because of that fighting between Marcel, between Otis, Danny, all those guys, they've cost each other all that time. So Barry is in full management mode now. Just needs to bring it across the line. Needs to not make any silly errors. But there's now Marcel Kiefer versus Alfie Butcher for P2. Dylan Warren under a lot of pressure from Danny Berezne now, as he could keep an eye on this as well. But we've got to keep our eyes on Brendan Lee as well. He's on those 2-lap-old mediums compared to Barry's 10-lap-old. He's on much fresher tyres than everybody, so watch out for him. But there's a huge gap to make up. Here comes Berezne. No fight put up by Dylan Warren, and Danny is now going to move it to P4, and Otis going to go with him in P5. Ishmael Fassi's in the mix as well as they come through turn 1. Ishmael Fassi's having a great race today. Up to P6 he goes, and might try a move on Otis Lawrence. Thought about it into the hairpin, but no way through to get him up to the next position. Of course, Otis has a 3-second penalty as well, so keep your eyes on him as he makes his way. First race back in PSGL PCF, when he could be on for a 4th place here. Ishmael Fassi, great drive.
Great stuff indeed, as Benham has just gotten past, or has he? Coming through turn 4 side by side now into 5. The Red Bull nudges the side of the junior team of AlphaTauri. My sound is now going strange. Apologies, I don't know why. Nothing I can do about it. Oh, Benham is trying now. It's Van Pookie as they come through the twisties and nudges the Red Bull. Jake Benham is he is a man on a mission at the moment. Now coming through 11. He's going to try and move into 12. The Red Bull sides of the Ferrari. Oh no, and Benham nudges the back of Longuet. Now gets boxed in between the Ferrari and the Red Bull. That's a slide. I think Pookie managed to hold it, but he was helped into that slide by Benham. And now Thomas Ronhard around the outside line of 14 has taken the place. My God, this is absolutely incredible. Donoso and Wilson Hughes are coming right down the middle for Thomas Ronhard. Oh my goodness me, it didn't pay off, and now here comes his Buki. This is absolutely incredible. You cannot call this. I can't say the words fast enough. That's absolutely amazing.
Have you ever seen a Ferrari that wide? Nicholas Longe trying his best now. These two have history, Longe and Ronar, side by side. Up towards the hill they'll come now. Ronar may get in front. No, he won't. Longe will park in the middle of the road here. He won't get by very easily. Remember, these two have had history before. Now Longe trying to defend against Ronar here. He's got the older tyres. Ronar trying to get through. He has the extra tyres to try and get through, but Longe is not making it easy for him. And finally, Ronar gets around the outside through the middle sector, and that now of course Longe staying out there trying to hold up as many people as possible, because of course his teammates out in the lead. The more he can hold up everybody, the better out the front. So good stuff from Nicholas Longe, but that was incredible how much just one sector can set up that whole race here, as Brendan Lee, another place going to be made here on Otis Lawrence. Ishmael Fassi now up to 4th place, getting by Danny Berzay, but Brendan Lee is up now into P6, chasing down Danny Berzay and Ishmael Fassi, and see what he can make of this. Can he maybe get himself into P2? He has a chance. He's got the freshest tyres of anybody inside that top train at the moment, and trying now to chase after Danny Beresnay and Ishmael Fassi for P4, but then has a 2.5 second gap to try to make up to Alfie Butcher and Marcel Kiefer. But at the moment, nobody is coming near Barry Borman at the front.
No, there is definitely advantage Ferrari in that one. And you've got to say that Barry it was all down to that opening strategy, going that long and keeping the tyres that well in that first stint, and just not doing anything silly, not costing himself time where it was needed. Yeah, I've got no other words for that. Absolutely a storming effort, but we've still got plenty of other racing to enjoy. Brendan Lee getting close to Danny Beresnay. As I say, these old hands have crossed swords many, many times in the past. Fassi doing a fantastic job of the Williams. Has 2 lap fresher tyres than Beresnay does. Now, Brendan Lee's just staying in the wide. He was thinking about that late lunge again, coming down into turn 1. Didn't pay off for him this time against the Haas, but he is staying very big in the Hungarian Mirrors. So he's just keeping his presence known. Also, fastest lap to Donato on fresh soft tyres. That's what you would expect. I would imagine there's going to be fastest lap ping pong going on, but for the bottom 3. And there you go. There's the next one that's got it. Wait for Lucas Blakely to claim it at some point in the race as well. But coming back to Brendan Lee, he's just staying where he needs to be. These pack of 3 are gaining on the next 2 of Kiefer and Butcher, and they're going to have a very hard time keeping the Williams, the second Haas, and the Alfa Romeo at bay.
That's it. That gap has come down by 2 seconds in 1 lap. Ishmael Fassi has really gone after them here on this lap. But is that now a case as Brendan Lee?
What the hell was that?
He likes that corner, doesn't he? Brendan Lee up the inside of Danny Beresnay, now P5. Is that an indication that these mediums are not holding on towards the end? But of course, Barry now has got such a lead right now that he can manage out the front. But Ishmael Fassi has brought the gap down by 2 seconds on that lap and is chasing after P2 now. Brendan Lee going with him. Beresnay as well. Also on the charges, Alfie Butcher now makes the move on Marcel Kiefer side by side between the Mercedes and the Haas. Will he just about nip in front here? He's been very patient. Alfie Butcher moves into P2. Just in front of Marcel Kiefer, but now they've got an extra 2 cars into the fold here of Ishmael Fassi, Brendan Lee, and also Danny Beresnay, who's also on those tyres as well, trying to get through. But the gap up front is extending now, and are those mediums holding on, or was Ishmael Fassi just on a mad one as Kiefer tries to find a gap on the inside, showed himself on the inside, couldn't find a way through, but now they have a very, very big Williams in his rear view mirror now as he tries to hang on here. But of course, so much more tyre life in Brendan Lee's tyres, in Ishmael Fassi's tyres as well. They've got so much more tyre life, and these guys look like they're struggling now to try to hang on to these mediums towards the end. So I have a feeling Ishmael Fassi, Brendan Lee will not hang around here. They want an off chance that they can try and take a victory here, unless there's a major error from Barry Borman at the front or a safety car as Ishmael Fassi gets a nudge from Brendan Lee. going through the hairpin there. Brendan Lee is very impatient. Behind that, Williams, here he comes now. Exit of the final corner. DRS open, ERS on, down towards turn 1. Brendan Lee looks to the inside of Ismail Fassi. This for 4th place for the moment. Looks in the inside, gets it stood on the brakes, turned into the apex, gets it stopped, will be in front for the moment. Has the inside for the next corner. Fassi not giving it up though, but has to settle in behind Brendan Lee. P4 for the 2-time F1 Esports champion, but could be P2 on the cards.
Goodness me, and towards the tail end of the field as well, Donoso and Longue swapping positions as well. The French he's going to have no answer to the soft shot Aston Martin, but either way, giving it what he can with what he's got left. But this pack, I keep riding on board with Beresnay. He's the back of this pack. He's got the greatest ringside seat of all of them for this particular group. All squabbling now for 2nd place from Alfie Butcher. Can Kiefer keep Brendan Lee at bay? Again, these two have crossed swords many, many times in the past. My sound is going utterly mad. I apologise, ladies and gentlemen. There really is nothing I can do about it at this late stage. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse. But, what about Pedreño on the back of Otis Lawrence now? Those soft tyres probably coming to the end of their lifetime. But either way, the Alpine, is he going to have anything against the Mercedes? We'll see. Otis doing what he can to try and mitigate that penalty, but there's only so much he's going to be able to do. We'll see. Riding on board again with Beresnay. He was getting very, very close, but no passing there as Pedreño gets past Otis Lawrence for 7th at the moment. 5 laps to go. It's not all done and dusted yet. As much as it is advantage up front for Boromond, there's still plenty of other positions to decide as Donoso flies past Soriano for 13th place.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see because Butcher has brought the gap down slightly to Barry, but again, Barry has the luxury of all that track position. 6.3 seconds he's got back to Butcher, and all these guys also on similar age tyres. So it's all really in the hands of Brendan Lee, who needs to make his way through as quickly as possible. And I'm sort of predicting he's going to have another move possibly lined up down into the next right-hander, stuck in behind Marcel Kiefer for now, and he's going to be wise to it now, surely. Looking in the inside for Brendan Lee. He likes this corner, has a look on the inside. Kiefer sees it coming. Just about enough room got, but Kiefer was good on the brakes there into the right-hander. But Brendan Lee now trying desperately to get himself onto the podium here in Hungary and try and get himself in with a chance of a very, very a chance that's getting slimmer by each lap as they cross over. Lap 32 of 35, 6.5 seconds up to Barry Boromand for the moment. But Brendan Lee needs to get by Kiefer, but he's not able to do it at the moment. He's stuck in this train, led by Alfie Butcher as Jake Benham gets by Otis Lawrence. So Jake isn't out of this really either. If he gets in front of Pedreño and clears him, he could still be in this fight. And remember, he's on a 2-stop strategy. He's on a totally different strategy compared to these guys. If he gets himself back into the top 3, that'll be some result for Jake Benham. But there's still lots to figure out here. But Brendan Lee, I think, is probably getting frustrated now. He's stuck here behind Kiefer. He can't get by him. And we saw Longue got stuck behind him. But Kiefer is a very difficult man to pass.
Absolutely so. Making that Mercedes the biggest you've ever seen to keep Brendan Lee at bay. Only 4 to go, 3.5 if you're picky. Barry Boromand untouchable up front unless by his own error. Oh, maybe he just pulls over for a cup of tea or something. I know he's not British. And that's Pedreño with a penalty. A 3-second penalty for Ruben Pedreño, and that joins Otis Lawrence and Thomas Ronha on the penalty board. Remember, that's a 5-second penalty for Thomas Ronha for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, but we can't be looking at that. 3 to go. Who is going to come out here? Is Brendan Lee going to try and make this move on Marcel Kiefer? Marcel with the DRS open as well. What's the Alfa Romeo going to do? He's gaining. Is he going to try and lunge on the inside? He's committed to the move. The German's seen him coming. A little bit of contact between the two. Can Brendan Lee hold it? That is going to be the question. On board now with the Mercedes. Mercedes dumps the battery to regain that position, coming down in towards turn 2. Brendan Lee's trying to string it around the outside for the inside of 3. The camera's changed to the wrong point, and just the Mercedes of Marcel Kiefer remains in 3rd, but he's having to work so hard to keep Brendan Lee behind.
It's exactly what Alfie Butcher needs, isn't it? These two fighting behind. He can now try and get himself clear, but that's brought more cars into the fold now. Beresnay still in this. Benham is not far behind them now. He's a 1.5 seconds. He should get himself into DRS in this sector because they're holding each other up so much. The two-stop strategy bringing its way back into the top 5 here. Could be a good result for Jake Benham on the cards here, even with that strategy call. But there's going to be beginning lap 34 of 35. 2 laps to go when we cross the line. It's all looking like it's going to be said and done for the win. But Alfie Butcher, Marcel Kiefer, Brendan Lee, Ishmael Fassi, Danny Beresnay, and now Jake Benham will now be in the fold for this P2, essentially, this big fight is for, and all those penalties behind, of course. But frustrating for Brendan Lee, still can't find a way through past Marcel Kiefer. Will this be the moment now? Trying to get by up towards turn 1, has a look on the inside again. Kiefer sees it coming, leaves in the room, a little bit of contact through the corner, but Kiefer is driving this brilliantly, just about keeping in front in the corners that he knows he's strong in, but now has a look on the inside, can't find a way through on the inside. But Beresnay did find a way past Ishmael Fassi, so P5 for Danny Beresnay, and now Brendan Lee's got the run, surely not round the outside of the top of the hill. This is going to be brave from Lee. Kiefer backs out of it, and finally Brendan Lee makes his way up into P3. But you have to say, a hat tip to Marcel Kiefer. That was a stellar display of defence for as long as he could, but didn't have those tyres at the end. Of course, the tyre life difference of 4 laps is quite a lot, but Brendan Lee now trying to get after Alfie Butcher to try and take P2.
He's only got 1.5 laps left to do it. Benham well within DRS range now. Don't discount the young Brit from this one in the AlphaTauri. Can he pick off a few positions? He's only got a few laps tyre advantage over those he's chasing, so it may not come his way. We will see. Barry Burman starts the final lap of this Hungarian race, and what a race it has been. Yes, the gap is coming down, but I don't think it's not coming down anywhere near quick enough. Alfie Butcher defended fresh air there for some odd reason. But what about behind? What's going to happen back here? Beresnay has a look on the inside line of Kiefer. They come together a little bit. The Germans lost pace and momentum. Here comes Ishmael Fassi to make the Germans stay even worse. Can they hold on for it? Raining on board with Jake Benham. The Williams just lost him behind the Haas. My goodness me, that's still a lot of fighting going on there. 1.4 seconds between Benham and Lawrence. So Jake got nothing to worry about from behind. Through turn 4, he's gaining all the time, but again, same problem. Nowhere to use that immediate tyre advantage. What's he going to be able to do? He has a look on the inside, not happening coming down into turn 6. But we've seen some rather unorthodox moves already in this race. We may well be in for some more.
Yeah, we've got half a lap to go now, but there's one man who hasn't had any problems whatsoever out front. 5.8 seconds is the gap between Alfie Butcher and Barry Borman. I don't think Brendan Lee's going to be close enough. Jake Benham's having a look at Kiefer, but no way through past the Mercedes for the moment. But there's going to be one man who's going to go back to back here in PSGL. Barry Borman dominates in Hungary and wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. Alfie Butcher, what a result for the young man. Finishes P2. Brendan Lee finishes in 3rd. Beresnay, Fassi, and then it's Marcel Kiefer who hangs on by just a 1/10 of a second from Jake Benham. Istvan Pukki, Otis Lawrence and Ruben Pedreño round out the points scorers here in Hungary, and Jake Benham on the 2-stop strategy, just missing out on P6 there from Marcel Kiefer. But that is domination from Barry Borman. Only one other guy has won by more than 5 seconds this season, and it was Lucas Blakely. Borman, absolutely perfect race.
Wow. Driver of the day, Lucas Blakely, we didn't see him. So, okay, game. Well, he started at the back, so we could only get better for the McLaren. But wow, that was just flawless from Barry Borman. You cannot deny how well he managed those tyres. Absolutely incredible. That didn't stop everybody else fighting for everything they could possibly get. And what a lot of entertaining racing we have just seen. That was fantastic. Oh, man. George, you missed out, son.
Absolutely, yeah. Barry Borman, though, extends his lead at the top of the championship now with that victory. Alfie Butcher, what a great result, finishing in P2 there behind Barry Borman. Brendan Lee on the podium as well. Danny Beresnay, I'm sure he'll be a bit disappointed with that P4. Ishmael Fassi, what a great drive from young Ishmael Fassi. P5 on his return. Then we have Marcel Kiefer, the pole sitter, of course, finishing in P6. The tyres just falling away at the end. Jake Benham, P7 on the 2-stop strategy. Istvan Pukki as well, finishing in P8 on the 2-stop. Ruben Pedreño finishing in P9, and Thomas Ronar getting the final point paying position there. But of course, all results provisional until there are stewards' inquiries and stuff. We'll keep you all up to date on that. Dylan Warren, Fabrizio Donoso, Mirko Suriano, Lucas Blakely and Wilson Hughes. Shame they didn't do qualifying, but they did finish the race. P14, P15, Nicholas Longe, Otis Lawrence, Peter Stakelek, Iker Bena, and Andre Tarabukin round out the finishers. 3 DNFs of Peter Stakelek, Iker Bena, and Andre Tarabukin. But Barry Bormand, imperious form, it has to be said. Again, we saw that kind of form from Lucas Blakely in round number 1, where he drove away from the rest of the field, but that was a perfect controlled race from Barry Bormand. Managing the tyres, had the oldest tyres at the front, 20 lap old, let everyone else fight behind him, drove away.
Yeah, and fair play to Marcel Kiefer as well, pulling out a storming pole-sitting lap. Started well, but again, Beresnay starting on the hards and really making everybody else around him work for it. Again, storming start. I'm still stunned at how many different tyre strategies we saw in that race. Some not paying off as well as others. But exactly as you say, Jack, that was more to do with patience than it was about raw pace. Of course, we know that Bowerman has the pace. Everybody in this tier does. But knowing how to deploy your pace is just as important as having raw pace in the first place. It's all great being the fastest, but if you're off every other corner, it's not going to help you. So Bowerman showing exactly the complete package in that race.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on the drivers' chat as well. Just keep an eye. Ruben Pedreno giving a hat tip to Nicholas Longe for blocking for the sterling job he did in blocking him in the middle sector. Again, and it's according to him, he cost him 3.5 seconds. So again, good job by him. But there's still some drivers I'm sure we'll hear from them in interviews in a few moments' time. But Alfie Butcher has declined an interview, unfortunately, because according to him, he has a major lisp because of his braces that he's got on at the moment for Alfie. So, but
bless
still,
him.
hat tip to you, Alfie Butcher. Great
Yeah.
drive towards the end, and I'm sure he'll take some great confidence. Of course, was imperious in challengers, and that is what he can do. And I'm sure F1 esports teams will be taking notice.
Absolutely so, and that's another thing that you have to bear in mind at these very top levels of leagues such as PSGL and WOR and the like. That is exactly where talent scouts and major teams look to see how well these drivers do. It's not just, yes, it is a bit of fun in the sense of, obviously, enjoyment is all part of racing, but it is very different when you get to this kind of level, when you're competing against the best. Let's not mince words here. They're all gunning for those top seats in top teams. And this is exactly where these teams look. They look to see how well they all do, not just their own current representatives. They're always looking at who's nipping at the heels of their current signed drivers. Who's the next upcoming talent. Borman, Beresnay, and Butcher, all Bs as well. I'm a Buxton, so I'm not even going to try and put myself in the same pool as these guys. But yeah, the talent that's on display, like I said, is not just about pace. It is the complete package. It is the discipline. It is how well they're managing tyres, how well they're managing pressure, how well their strategies are working out. It is all, the more accolades you can present to teams, the bigger an asset you are providing yourself. So great stuff from all of our drivers once again. They've all demonstrated just how good they are.
Absolutely. Well, we have one driver standing by, and thankfully, it's our race winner. I'm going to drag into the commentary booth right now. Barry Bormand joins us back in the winner's circle once again. Barry, great race. Controlled it from the very start. 6 seconds you won by in the end. Was it as easy as it looked?
Yeah, hello to everyone, and to you, Jack, to whoever watching. Yeah, I mean, that race maybe looked like a little bit easy, but it was so hard because in this track you can literally lose the car, and then of course the strategy we went was a bit. You have to, like, the last few laps of the stint, you don't have that much tire. The car, of course, the balance of the car is not really great. But then, yeah, of course, thanks to the team. For the strategy, it was really good strategy as well, but I think the race pace was actually quite strong as well.
Yeah, they definitely looked like it. We saw some guys trying the two-stop strategy around here. Was that a consideration, or were you just always sticking to the plan?
To be honest, we knew two-step strategy could work as well, of course, because you know, we can check data and of course test it. But you know, like we always like said, okay, because you know it depends like where you're starting on the grid. But even in my opinion, we didn't even really speak with, we didn't really said like, or should we like go two-step or like this is strategy. I think from the time we figured out, we just found out I'm starting P3. I think we knew we going for soft medium, and it worked out.
Certainly did. Well, I know you had 20 lap old mediums at the end. I think you're the oldest tires out there. How close were they to dying?
To be honest, last lap I think even my engineer like Jona told me, don't push please, like like I think lap 34 was, don't put the wall in the wall, like you got this, and I said just leave me and my car alone, let us have some fun. but yeah it was a bit tricky, but I still really like the balance of the car, and yeah, of course, you know, it's just the tires, and then you just have to drive under the tires limit.
Yeah, and I know now you've obviously you had a 10-point lead coming in here. You've got a larger championship lead now going into the next round. A lot of confidence, I think, heading forward.
Yes, of course. Like, you know, after as I have to mention it again, because after the equal cars got fixed, race pace back to where it should be. And yeah, I mean, I'm not really thinking about championship leader or anything. I'm just, you know, because this is actually a really good practice for F1 esport. So it doesn't matter if I'm P1 or P20 in the championship. Of course, it does matter in your head, like, you know, you're just feeling better. But the target is the same. Just every races we're just gonna try our best and to win or like get the best result possible.
Yeah, I'm sure you said there like this is great preparation for F1 esports, but I'd imagine there's some teams out there that won't want to peak too early, I suppose, or won't want to show their strategies too early.
I mean, up to them, I guess. We will see, of course. But in my opinion, I like to always be competitive, even if I'm doing social race. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing.
Great stuff. Well, Barry, congratulations on the victory. You're the first repeat winner of this season. So we'll let you go, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, thank you so much for commentating, and of course to GG2 P2 and P3. I think P2 got Alfie, and I don't know about P3.
Brendan, I think it was.
Yeah, GG to Brendan as well.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, thanks, Barry, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, GG, bye-bye.
So that was Barry Boorman, the race winner. A calm and collected as always. He says the same thing every week. He tries his best. His best is very, very good every single week. But yeah, they're playing it very cool at Ferrari. But I think it was interesting for him to say there that he doesn't think that many teams are actually sandbagging or doing anything like that because, well, unless, I suppose, if you don't show your true pace, how are you going to know what it's going to be like in the real thing?
Exactly that is you're not really proving anything if you're sandbagging, so you may as well go out there and give it all you've got. And exactly as Barry said, it's great practice for when the next round of F1 esports comes along. There's probably an element that they're keeping to themselves, but I don't think it's a very big element. I think we are seeing real pace. Potentially a new challenger to the throne. I mean, we'll see when we get there, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's we've still got a long way to go in this championship. So again, of course, we had the switch of the calendar this week from Las Vegas to Hungary, which is quite a drastic transition when you think about the different country. I can tell you that the next race is definitely not going to be switched out. This is going to be a fantastic race. We're going to Silverstone next week for the British Grand Prix. If you did miss the update to the calendar, do follow PSGL on the socials, where you can find all the updates as well, and to keep an eye on the stewards reports as well, because I'm sure there will be some afterwards, and of course it's up to the drivers to put them in to get a resolution. But the next few races, if you are wondering, round 6 will be at Silverstone. Round 7 is going to be the debut of Qatar for this race. Well, the first time we're going to ever go to Qatar in Doha, and then we go to Austria for Spielberg, which we've had so much drama in PSGL for the past couple of seasons. in Austria. For those of you who are Jarno fans, you will remember the headphone smash that happened in PSGL in Austria when he came together with his teammate Danny Moreno up at turn 3. Fritz Donoso took the win in that race from P3. In the second race, the following year, the car that also was in P3 on the final lap also ended up winning. That was Barry Borremand, who managed to get by Thomas Ronnar to take the victory in the end, and that was a crucial race for the championship. But Qatar, Austria and Silverstone are the next round that will be up in the calendar. So very excited going forward, but we have at the moment a slight bit of a runaway championship leader in Barry Borman, but there's still a long way to go.
Not insurmountable at all, but for the time being, I think that's going to be everybody who wants to have a chat to us. I think it is going to be time to wrap it up. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream and catching up with us post-event. Your presence is always welcome. Thank you very much, Jack Canan, for keeping me on the straight and narrow. It was a difficult job, but you weather it well.
I do my best. I do that. I have to do it with George as well, and everyone else that comes in here. But this, I've made this a nice space to be in. Yeah, thanks to Chris, of course, for hopping in as well. George is obviously off in France, so a big thanks to Chris for hopping in. Quite last minute, it must be said, to try and do this, but he's done a fantastic job, barring everything as well. And you know, maybe you might learn do not disturb mode on Discord. At least you might have taught that. But fantastic job from Chris to hop in and did a wonderful job, as he always does on the stream. So we look forward to next week. We go to Silverstone for the 6th round of the championship, and we will see if Barry Borman can go 3 rounds in a row. He's our first repeat winner, so the streak of different winners comes to an end at last in round 5. But we've had new winners at Silverstone before. Patrick Sipos took his first ever victory here in Silverstone before. And we'll see who's going to come out on top. Of course, we're going to we'll have more drivers back next week. Jarno's back next week. We Lucas and Wilson will hopefully make it back on time to join qualifying next time to be in the mix, and we'll hopefully see them. But from myself, from Chris Buxton, it's been a pleasure to bring you the round number 5 of this PSGL season. We'll see you next week for the British Grand Prix. So until then, it's good night.
He's got the inside off, here he's through on the left hand side, hugs the apex, gets on the power nicely, and that is job done. Jarno Opmeer now to the last couple of corners now, his finest drive, his greatest drive, and he's done it at the Circuit of the Americas. He returns to the top step of the podium once again. The ghost is back. Jarno Opmeer wins the US Grand Prix.